wouldn't necessarily say I'm crazy, simply because I've heard the voices who battle the godless things in the woods. But I must be crazy to believe. It all started with that damn book, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis.
That's right, everyone. It is Wednesday, and I've not been here for a bit. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, you know me. All sorts of nonsense. The slightest change in time or day or whatever, and that fucks me up. So yeah, that's why I wasn't here on Monday. Love daylight savings. That's great. It's such a good idea. I'm so glad that it's definitely relevant, you know, to the human existence. Everybody feels that. They need to wake up a little earlier at some time in the year at a certain point. So, you know, great that, isn't it? Lovely. Anyway, excuse me. Yeah, absolutely mad week last week, doing just like a ton of fucking activism. I was tired as shit. If you saw the Red Planet show on Sunday, you will have heard about all the shit that I did last week. Everything from anti-fascist action to going down to Westminster to try and lobby Parliament into, you know, doing stuff, doing anything good. But that was unsuccessful, as we found out this week. Yeah, I kept you all abreast of that last week, so that was pretty good. That was pretty okay. And yeah, unfortunately, just completely crashed this weekend because I was still doing activism this weekend, and yeah, just ended up fucking collapsing on Saturday night with my partner, just kind of like, you know, watching Always Sunny till about 3 in the fucking morning, because obviously as soon as it turned to 1 a.m. it just went bang, 2 a.m. Hate that for us, hate that for me, hate that for you. But yeah, I'm here, I'm back, and I had completely forgotten that there was so much stuff going on this week. I wouldn't have taken Monday off if I actually knew how much stuff I was doing this week. So yesterday I had the GMTU committee meeting. These have started to go on for about 3 hours nowadays due to various bits and pieces that are hopefully going to be resolved sooner rather than later. Had to do the Member Solidarity Officer team meeting today. I chair those, I write the agenda, I do all the reporting, etc, etc. And also something else. Tomorrow night, I'm going to go and see Stuart Lee. So I completely forgot all this stuff. So today is the only stream this week. It sucks, but here we go. This is what happens when you have ADHD and burnout happens, you know? But how are we all doing? It's good to see you. Hey, Base Junkie. Hello, Adorable. Hello, Yanshafim. Yanshafim, thank you for the 12 months. Gumba Master. Hello, Mamera. What's going on? Box full of leaves. Goblin Hugger. Hello, hello, hello. Prince Infidel. How are you? Yeah, Stuart Lee. Going to be very exciting. Everybody go follow Goblin Hugger. They're a fantastic streamer in my community that you should go and show something to. How are you all doing? What are you up to? You don't know what day it is? It's fine. Good. I'm glad. It is fun being neurodivergent, but also not fun, but also fun. Hello, Muel and Muleys. I'm happy for the chat to be called Muleys, to be honest. Yeah. I'm happy for it to happen. So yeah, very union action heavy week as well. This week as well. Been doing lots of stuff in organizing disputes, trying to get people sorted, trying to get people trained up to become member solidarity officers on their own, so that hopefully one day all I have to do is coordinate member solidarity officers and I don't actually have to do any disputes. That would be ideal. Although I don't think that will actually happen. I don't think a day will ever come when I don't want to be involved with disputes in the union, because it just feels too good to make landlords like cry. Do you know what I mean? You know, hold housing associations to account and this kind of stuff. It just feels too good to do that. But you know what I mean. It's a day will come when I am able to handle less disputes. Basically, the only member solidarity officer who has a similar amount of disputes as me is Ben, who was on Red Planet, Ben Clay, and he is actually paid for the work that he does with the union. So there you go. That's that. Speaking of which, the fact that this is the only stream of the week, unfortunately means that this is the only day where we can potentially get to the £900 dono goal for unlocking a gnome stream, right? So this is it, chat. This is your last chance today. It's £150 we need to make, you know? What is that? If I could divide £150 by something, what would it be? It's maths time, chat. It's fucking maths time. 150. Let's say divided by. Let's say there's 30 people, right? So it's actually £5 each, right? If there's 30 people in the chat, literally £5 for each of those 30 people. So that's all I would ask for from everyone today. If everyone donates £5 today for the sub off Twitch dono goal, then we will make it. It will happen, right? Anyway, Electric Kitty, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Please go follow Electric Kitty, everybody. And also, hello, Mr. Dank. How you doing? One who reads, hello, DJM did maths. Go on, laddie. Yeah, but I did it with the calculator off screen. You didn't see that. So, yeah. I'm always using calculators. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed, you know? God, have I got any other, like, news for you? Not really. I've just been, like, desperately trying to rest and relax. On Monday, I played Super Mario Sunshine, completed it, got all 120 shines finally. So that was nice. And what else? Yeah, just been to the gym other than that. Trying to stay hella hydrated. You know the score. Trying to figure out a 12-letter word or sentence I'd want to get tattooed. Why does it have to be 12-letter or word or sentence? Why does it have to be specifically that? Hey, Shuggy Senpai, how you doing? Welcome in. Good to see you. Most of maths is knowing what to do with figures, and you figured that out on your own. True, I see what you did there. True, I see what you did there. Electricity is 12 letters. Ah, okay. 12-letter word is 12 letters. Oh shit, Gumba Master! Oh my gosh! Thank you so much for the £6.12. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Gumba Master started it off, chat. We just need another 29 people to donate £5 to the sub off Twitch fund, and you've got yourself a gnome stream, and I've got myself living in a property that I'm not gonna get evicted from and pay my bills and not get in debt, etc. You know? Hey Zanixie, how you doing? Welcome in. Good to see you. Everybody go follow Zanixie as well. She's a great streamer. Mr. Dank says, woke up 20 minutes early today, so figured, what the hell, let's shave the old noggin again. Yes! Get it shaved. Get it, keep it shaved. Effie with the £10. Thank you so much, Effie, for the £10. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. That's 2 people's donos. Effie is carrying the weight of another chatter right now. So that means that we only need... Oh, shit!
UWU.
Shuggy Senpai with the £5. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. So that's 4. What's 4 take away 30? We need 26. 26 people to donate £5 now. Only 26 of you, right? There might not even be 26 people here yet, to be honest. So that's fine if we don't get it till then. And it's fine if you've already donated, obviously, this month. A little bit extra to cover those of us too skint to pitch in. Exactly. Again, chat, if you are feeling, you know, a little bit sad that you can't chip in, don't worry about that. It's all good. I will never... oh my gosh. Base Junkie, thank you so much for the £5. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Yeah, you absolutely don't need to Box full of leads. Thank you for the £5. Oh my God. I can't keep up. I literally can't keep up. Thank you so much. Box full of leaves. £5. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. Just need 25. It's 25. Or 24 now? I've lost count already. Wait, let me have a little look at Stream Labs. Let me see what that is. I'm trying to do like 9 different things at once. Yeah, listen, if you are not financially capable to support the stream, don't worry. It's all good. I will never shame you for that. All I would ask you instead is to retweet the Go Live tweet, which I've just put in the chat. It means that more and more people will see the actual stream itself. And potentially someone who is more financially capable will be able to drop by and drop some dough into the stream. Roho Mild, how's it going? Welcome into the stream. How are you doing? Right. So that's that. That's all that. It would be great if we could actually make it to £900 by the end of the stream. That would be super, super awesome. Obviously, I understand if it's not possible because I'm only streaming one day this week, which really, really sucks. But I would really like to do this gnome stream. I would really like to pay a makeup artist 20 quid to come and make me look insane, like a crazy weird, like a Tim and Eric gnome. If you imagine like a Tim and Eric gnome, I'm going for that kind of gnome. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, listen, chat. We got some cool news to talk about. We got some stuff to figure out. We got some, well, if not figure out, we got some stuff to watch. We've got some videos to watch later on that I'm very excited to check out and show you. Effie Artoria, how you doing? Surely it's more than £20 to hire a makeup artist. Well, I won't be paying that. I won't be paying any more than £20. But yeah. No, I know makeup artists will come in and make you look like a weird gnome for 20 quid or something. Yeah. Defo. Everyone's just kind of looking for that kind of gnome in their lives. It's true. It's true, Base Junkie. You're absolutely right. Prince Infidel with the 1312.
This money just fell out of my account somehow.
Thank you so much, Prince. Thank you so much for the 1312. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. I really, really, really appreciate that. Yeah, let's get some 1312s in the chat because that's just a fun number, isn't it? It's good. I'd come over for free, but I can't do makeup. What? So you'd come all the way to the UK for nothing without asking me for a single thing, and you can't do makeup at all. I don't see what I would get out of this. But that's fine. That's a kind offer. I'm gonna decline. But yeah. Anyway, bring your friend with you. She can do makeup. Brilliant. All right, we're on. Fantastic. As long as I don't have to do anything, that's great. Okay, so yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about. Some really interesting news. We're going to dive into the politics category. So please put your hazmats on. Be prepared for terrible opinions potentially to come into the chat. And let's check out this first news story. Okay. Hold up. Let's get in there. Boom. This is what we're looking at. Plaid Cymru have decided to table a Nation of Sanctuary amendment to the UK government's illegal migration bill. So, Plaid Cymru MP Howell Williams has criticised the UK government's anti-refugee bill, saying that it's not up to the government to pick and choose who is sufficiently human to benefit from human rights. If you're not aware of the anti-refugee bill, it is basically a bill that means that refugees coming into the UK would be declined asylum on any ground. It means that they would be deported to Rwanda, a concentration camp in Rwanda, basically. And, yeah. It's sickening. It's fascist. It's genocidal. It's not what the people of the UK want. And they are operating without a mandate. Let's face it, undemocratically, because Rishi Sunak was not elected by the people of the UK. He was elected by members of the Conservative Party to be the Prime Minister. And these are the kind of things that they are getting away with. So his comments come ahead of the House of Commons debating amendments to the illegal migration bill this evening, including one from Plaid Cymru, which would require the UK and Welsh governments to jointly produce guidance setting out how measures under the Act can be exercised in a way which is consistent with the Welsh government's commitment to being a nation of sanctuary. In 2019, the Welsh government declared that Wales will become the world's first nation of sanctuary, a move endorsed by the United Nations. It renewed the Welsh government's commitment of working with the UK government, local authorities, the Welsh Refugee Coalition, and people seeking sanctuary themselves to achieve equality of opportunities, including access to resources and mainstream services. So this means that when you are a migrant coming to the UK, that you would be able to access housing, you would be able to access healthcare, you would be able to access benefits, all these things that is incredibly important for asylum seekers and refugees to have access to. Hey TTK, how you doing? Robert Westbrook in the chat says hate-filled constituents are a reliable voting bloc. Yeah, that's true. I don't think that's the case for all constituents in the UK, even those in Tory seats. But yeah, I know what you're saying. The UK government's proposed legislation would threaten asylum seekers with removal, as well as deny access to the asylum system or lawful immigration status to anyone who enters outside normal immigration laws. This means no asylum seeker entering unlawfully will ever in future be given permission to stay or permission to work with their families if they have one, will never be allowed to join them lawfully. Here's the thing though, chat, and this is something that everybody needs to know when we're talking about the migrant laws in the UK. There is currently no legal route for asylum seekers to claim asylum in the UK. So when we're talking unlawfully here, we are talking that is the only way that asylum seekers can actually enter the UK. Yeah, I'm just going to turn it down a bit, Roho Mild. I appreciate that. This undermines Wales' aim to expand the rights of refugees and asylum seekers to access services, according to Plaid Cymru. Mr. Williams says, the bill is an affront to the values that both my party and so many people in Wales hold dear. People are calling it out for what it is. It's the anti-refugee bill. Not only is it at odds with the objectives and spirit of international human rights treaties to which the UK is a signatory, including the European Convention on Human Rights and the 1951 Refugee Convention, but it's also counter to Wales' stated ambition of being a nation of sanctuary. It is build the wall, but British, I agree. Yeah, they make it impossible to do something and then make it illegal not to do that thing. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's bureaucracy in a nutshell, isn't it? You know, when it comes to authoritarian governments. Hello, GPA Boost. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's basically build the wall. Yeah. Build the wall, but make it British, innit? Yeah. Had we our own way, this bill would not apply in Wales. This is why my party has tabled new Clause 29, which would require the UK and Welsh governments to jointly produce guidance setting out how measures under this Act can be exercised in a way that is consistent with the Welsh government's commitment of being a nation of sanctuary. No guidance can be published unless it has been approved by the Senate. Denying refugees and migrants the protection of the Human Rights Act is abhorrent and wrong. Human rights are universal. We are all human. It is not for the government to pick and choose who is sufficiently human to benefit. This is but the thin end of the wedge. An attack on one group's rights is eventually an attack on all. Plaid Cymru will be opposing this vicious, unfair, and damaging bill tonight. Extremely based. I believe that story is from yesterday. When, they were debating it in Parliament. And so it'll be interesting to see how this has gone, because, you know, it's not out of the UK government's wheelhouse to, well, not wheelhouse. It's not in their wheelhouse. They shouldn't be doing it. But it's not outside of the realm of possibility that the UK government wouldn't try and stamp down on devolved powers making changes to laws or preventing laws from being signed off on in Parliament by, devolved powers such as Wales, the nation of Wales. And if they do that, I think that would spell the end of the union, not just, regarding what's going on in Scotland with, the SNP basically saying, you shouldn't really be telling us what to do. You shouldn't really be blocking our laws. What the fuck do our devolved powers mean if we can't, actually make laws on our own? If they did this to Wales too, there would be fucking hell to pay. I guarantee it. The union would be over. It would be game fucking over. And that would be the Tories' legacy, which would be very funny, wouldn't it? The message I get is they only want asylum seekers who have enough money and influence to get a direct flight here and negotiate with the British Embassy if they have one in their country of origin. In other words, the rich. Yeah, and asylum seekers are not famously rich. Generally speaking, if you have the money to just move to the UK, you know what I mean? You're not really an asylum seeker because, I don't know. It just doesn't seem... I don't know. It's just not the case for asylum seekers, is it? Generally speaking, they're coming from war-torn countries where everything they have has been destroyed. They have nothing left. Yeah. They don't want basically people here who, in my opinion, the reason for this is not to consolidate their voting base. It's not for, possibly in terms of people within the party actually just despising migrants and stuff like that, even though that's very hard to see. I think it's genuinely because they know that migrants coming from other countries will be radicalized against things like imperialism and climate change, and they are terrified of migrants coming into the country and basically speaking to grassroots activists who will help them in their radicalization and mobilize them to join movements, grassroots organizations and shit like that. GMTU, one of the biggest sort of under threat, vulnerable groups that we do things for are migrants, right? And you don't need to agitate them when it comes to housing, right? They despise landlords already. Do you know what I mean? Because they can't get a fucking gaff. They sometimes have to live in hostels. They sometimes have to live in supported accommodation, which is not appropriate for them. And as we all know, a lot of the time, the Home Office just puts them in fucking concentration camps. And some of them house them in hotels and shit like that, which makes them extremely vulnerable to far-right attacks and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a whole scheme to basically stop people from, getting into the country who might be like, oh, actually, this country is not as good as I thought it was. Let's do something about that, right? You know what I mean? Who will support, activists in the UK. I don't think that's the whole reason. I also think it's part of building the walled world that's going to escalate. The Imperial Core walled world. If you don't know what that is, I'll bring it up for you. Now, this is a huge thing to think about when considering climate change. So it is this. Let me zoom right in there so you can see. So, the walled world is basically the white Imperial Core, the West, right? Do you know what I mean? 73% of the world's income and 14% of the world's population is within the walled world. And, we may not think that because we have these vast areas of land like in Canada and, Alaska up here and shit like that. But in terms of population, 86% of the world's population is outside of the walled world, right? And, they do not want people from outside of here to be coming in because it will make people realize multiple things. Not just, yeah, that's right, potato. Yeah, that's right. It will make people realize not just that, migrant rights are important and they need to be, looked after, and they should be, helped and supported in their plight, but also, it will open people's eyes to the real damage of climate change. What the Imperial Corps is hoping to do is to inspire a culture of passivity around climate change, and so they're trying to stop us from seeing the ramifications of it. The ramifications of it are that people in the Imperial periphery, so outside the world, will desperately want access to the Imperial Core because it's a place where, people seem to think that there's not going to be as many massive weather changes, massive climate changes in that area. It will, of course, be cooler up here, like it is obviously, just in terms of like where we are geographically, the governments of our countries don't want people to feel sorry for people outside there, because it means that they'll have to do something about climate change. They'll have to do something about imperialism. Asylum seekers also come to countries and are like, I'm here, but like the reason I'm here is because your country fucked mine up. Do you know what I mean? There's that thing as well. So it's not just the climate change thing, it's also the imperialism thing. All these different aspects of why they want to hide asylum seekers and migrants from the general population of the Imperial Court. They want to just like go hard on neoliberal passivity and just like individualism. Don't care, as long as I've got mine. That's what matters, right? So yeah, that's what it is, Mr. Dank. They're trying to turn entire nations into their own gated communities. It's literally that, and it is luck of birth, Robert. Yeah, 1,000%. So, we've got that to consider. This is like, why the UK is going so hard on migrants. It's really fucked up. It's messed up, and we need to oppose it at every turn. If you're in the UK, make sure you join organisations such as No More Borders, and there are other pro-migrant, pro-refugee charities and NGOs and organizations that you can get involved with. I imagine there are several in most major towns. I know that's the case in Manchester. There's also Greater Manchester Immigration Aid Unit that we work with at GMTU. Very important just to, be aware of that stuff, really. That's that. In terms of other news, we also have this. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. So you might have heard that last week GMTU, part of the Renters Reform Coalition, was down in London to lobby the government for abolishing Section 21 evictions. If you don't know, completely unfair, no-fault evictions where the landlord can just basically force you out of a property without any reason, and that's that. It's completely supported by the law. It's fucking ruthless. It's responsible for 67% of homeless cases in Greater Manchester alone, I believe. It's just a completely unfair amount of power in the hands of landlords. Hey Blumhouse, how you doing? So we went down there to lobby for the abolition of that with the Renters Reform Coalition, and the housing minister met us, Rachel McLean, and she did say actually that it is in her plans to basically end Section 21 evictions. She said that she would be abolishing them before autumn this year, which sounds fucking great, doesn't it? It sounds like absolutely amazing. But this came out of the news a couple of days ago, and this has been kind of teased a little bit by the Tory government, and I think it might be in response to the lobbying of Section 21's abolition. Because as we know, I think 40% of MPs, elected MPs, are actually landlords or something like that. I think it might be 40% of Tory lords or ministers or something like that are all landlords. And of course, the king is one of the biggest landlords in the country. So, you know, those in power are obviously, you know, they're incentivized to look after landlords, aren't they? So Rishi Sunak says that landlords and housing associations are going to be granted more powers to evict unruly tenants. Now, particularly the housing associations edition here just gives fucking alarm bells. People in housing associations are extremely vulnerable. We're talking not just disabled people, marginalized people, racialized people, queer people. We're talking also, you know, people on the poverty line, like people who are extremely suffering under the material conditions of neoliberal capitalism. You know, if we're going to just be giving landlords the ability to just evict them, and hey, Kiri, how you doing, by the way? You know, that's not going to end well. It's really not going to end well. So under new plans, perpetrators of antisocial behavior will face swift and visible justice, increased fines, and enhanced drug testing as part of a new crackdown. So these are all infringements on human rights for multiple reasons, right? So let's have a look at what antisocial behavior is. All right. So the only thing that really comes up when you Google antisocial behavior is if you're in the UK, it will probably go to your local council, because these are powers that your local council has, right? But what is antisocial behavior? Well, we've got the Met Police here. That's not a good source, is it, really, for what antisocial behavior is? Let's see what the government themselves actually, you know, define antisocial behavior as. Let's have a look and see what it is. So everyone has the right to live without fear of facing antisocial behavior. Okay, well, what is it? The Antisocial Behavior Action Plan sets out ambitious new approach to working with local agencies to tackle the blight of antisocial behavior facing communities across England and Wales. I didn't know that there was a blight of antisocial behavior, and we still don't know what antisocial behavior is, do we? So we have an antisocial behavior action plan. Approach examine antisocial behavior. Feel safe in and proud of their local area. So we're implying that this antisocial behavior that is apparently real is something that's making people feel unsafe in their communities. Now, if there's one thing that I know, being a housing activist, it's that most people feel unsafe due to the fact that their landlords have powers to evict them for any reason, right? I know that that's a fact. So, if you're a member of the public who has experienced antisocial behavior, you can find support through Antisocial Behavior, How to Get Help. I mean, like, you know, what's this going to say? From the Home Office and Department for Levelling Up Housing and Communities. Like, it's just so bad. Recognize antisocial behavior. Let's have a look. Antisocial behavior includes criminal and non-criminal behavior. So hang on a second. Non-criminal behavior. Interesting. This could be threatening, harassing, or unruly behavior, such as drunkenness and loitering in public spaces. Okay. What is unruly behavior? It is, you know, something to be defined subjectively. Right? Drunkenness and loitering in public places. But it's a public place. You're allowed to loiter there. Right? What's up with that? Drug use. And the mess and disruption that can go with it. Well, what is that? What is the mess and disruption that could come with drug use? I know plenty of people who use drugs that don't cause a mess and disruption. How is this helping any of them? You know, are we seeing people who use drugs as criminals? Or are we seeing them as people who need support from the government? Yes, the neoliberal city. Work and sleep, work and sleep, work and sleep, you know? Vandalism, graffiti, fly tipping, and littering. It's going to be very fucking funny to try and get them to watch them police this stuff, right? Because they already do a fucking terrible job of it, don't they? You know what I mean? Like, no one is getting arrested for fly tipping. No one's getting arrested for littering or graffiti or vandalism. Incredibly funny, right? So here's one that's fucked, right? Disruptive neighbors consistently playing loud music or letting their dog bark all night. Right. Now, I have had disruptive neighbors consistently playing loud music, right? Do you know how you resolve that? I'll tell you how you resolve this, chat. And it's really interesting. People don't think of this. They think, you know, 9 times out of 10, oh, call the police, call the landlord, call the building manager or whatever, etc., right? What you do is you knock on their door, right, if you feel like it's safe to do so, and you get to know them and you just explain very kindly and gently, like, I'm just letting you know, really tired, you know, it'd be really good if you just could not play loud music past 11 p.m. Do you know what I mean? We're just trying to sleep. We're not, do you know what I mean? We're not going to call the cops on you or anything like that. Just like, you know, do you think you could do that? And surprise, surprise, they don't play loud music anymore. Because actually, they didn't realize that it was that loud. You know? No, don't bang a broom handle against the ceiling, because that's, you know, fucking, it's petty, innit? Do you know what I mean? It's passive aggressive. Don't do that. Just go and talk to them. Just be like, yo, what's going on? I'm just letting you know, like, trying to sleep downstairs. You know what I mean? Get to know your neighbors. You know? Waxley Thorpe says, listing these things that are already illegal is chaff. Here's the thing, though. It's like, this is all subjective stuff, like letting their dog bark all night, right? I'm sorry, but dogs bark, innit? Do you know what I mean? There are fucking dogs around my flats, right, where I live. Flat building, I should say. And like, you know, what you gonna fucking do? It's just dogs, innit? Like, at the end of the day, yeah, it can be a bit annoying, but like, fucking hell. Again, the way that you resolve this is you like figure out why the dog is barking, you speak to the neighbor, you go, hey, what's going down, like, etc., etc., and that's that. You know, the way to resolve this is not by evicting tenants. Hello, Fengji, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Hey, got a TBI as well. Welcome in. And Phenomenological Cat. I thought with antisocial they would address incidents where some tenants have been scary or made threats. So what they're doing is they're talking about here threatening and harassing, right? Thankfully, this is like a very rare situation, right? Even with GMTU, we don't often get people coming in and asking us to help with like threatening or harassing neighbors. Do you know what I mean? Normally, the people who are doing the harassing are the landlords, right? Person with the dog is probably stuck at work all night. Yeah, probably. Do you know what I mean? And you know what you could do? You could look after that dog while they're at work. You know what I mean? You could offer to do that for them, and then it won't bark and that. Do you know what I mean? That's what neighbors are for, innit? So anyway, just like very subjective, like things that are already illegal, you know, that they don't actually like. They actually struggle to police anyway, because like, how would you police this stuff? I'm not saying that fly tipping and littering is good, but like, you know, they aren't able to deal with that shit. Like, they just don't have the resources. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to happen under austerity, right? Hey, Icked Trunks, how you doing? Welcome in. So, you know, that's apparently what the government are defining as antisocial behavior. Funnily enough, there is no other. So, antisocial behaviors, right? Wikipedia talks about this. So antisocial behaviors, sometimes called dissocial behaviors, are actions which are considered to violate the rights of others by committing crimes such as stealing and physical attack, in addition to other non-criminal behaviors such as lying and manipulation. It's considered to be disruptive to others in society. This can be carried out in various ways, which is included to, but not limited to, intentional aggression, as well as covert and overt hostility. Antisocial behavior also develops through social interaction with the family and community. It continually affects a child's temperament, cognitive ability, and their involvement with negative peers, dramatically affecting children's cooperative problem-solving skills. Many people also label behavior which is deemed contrary to prevailing norms for social conduct as antisocial behavior. However, researchers have stated that it is a difficult term to define, particularly in the United Kingdom, where many acts fall into its category. The term is especially used in British English. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Violating the rights of others. I could think of a few times when landlords have done that in my time at GMTU. When I say a few, I mean hundreds. By committing crime, landlords, again, don't know the law, commit crimes very regularly. Stealing and physical attack. I mean, physical attack is rare. I will admit that. I won't be hyperbolic about that. But stealing, let's face it, rent is theft, isn't it? In addition to other non-criminal behaviors such as lying and manipulation. This is like landlord behavior 101, chat. This is hypocritical. It's fascist. It's going to make the already struggling people in housing in the UK even more scared, even more unable to settle, unable to feel like they're safe in their own homes, extremely fucked, right? The Antisocial Behavior Action Plan will establish a zero-tolerance approach to all forms of antisocial behavior. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says, antisocial behavior undermines the basic right of people to feel safe in the place they call home. Yes, if landlords would stop evicting people, then they would feel safe in their own home, wouldn't they, Rishi? The public have rightly had enough. What mandate have you got for this? What mandate has he got to say that? You know? I am determined to restore people's confidence that those responsible will be quickly and visibly punished. What do you mean visibly? What do you mean visibly? Are you trying to say you're going to put more homeless people on the street so that people can see? This is what happens if you... Oh my gosh. Do you know what I mean? Sounds like broken windows. Giuliani did this in New York City. Yes. Zenixi says this is going to massively affect very, very vulnerable people, not just because of cuckooing and being taken advantage of, but also those with mental health issues that might cause a disturbance to neighbors. Yes, absolutely. Got a TVI says, I feel terrible about this, but I was really worried when I found out my upstairs baby were having a baby, and it's been months since the baby came and I haven't heard a peep. Anticipating toddler stomps later, but that's okay. Most people who think about things like childcare and owning a pet when you don't have these things, you know, can overstate or exaggerate the issues that come with them. You know what I mean? Rishi sounds a bit like David Lynch. Just because he's nasal doesn't mean he's a king, you know? Yeah, no, that's obviously what he's saying, Rohamild. It's like, I think we should put people in the stocks. That's what it sounds like, right? A new reporting tool will also be developed over the next 12 months to act as a digital one-stop shop where people can quickly and easily report incidents of antisocial behavior when these occur. Landlords have welcomed the new proposals, and Ben Beadle, chief executive of the National Residential Landlords Association, says antisocial tenants blight the lives of fellow landlords. Oh, wow, I don't care what he's saying. That's funny, isn't it? Elsewhere, under the zero-tolerance approach, nitrous oxide or laughing gas will also be banned to send a clear message to intimidating gangs that hang around high streets and children's parks and litter them with empty canisters. The people that do this are not gangs. They're fucking hippies. Right? I know this because I know so many people who used to use, laughing gas or still use it and shit like that. I hear people using laughing gas outside my flat all the fucking time. Do you know what happens? You hear it go for a bit, right? And then nothing. Because what they do is they get high as shit and then they say nothing. It's not intimidating at all. Do you know what I mean? It's embarrassing that they would say that this is intimidating, right? Also, nitrous oxide is not just sold as nitrous oxide, is it? It's sold for creaming, whipping cream. That's what it's used for. That's how people use it, right? You don't just get like fucking nitrous oxide in a big well, you can in some places, but it's like for, you know, different stuff in it, basically. Like, how are you going to police this? You know, they didn't think that harm reduction was a good idea for this. They thought, let's just ban it outright. So if you have it on you, even if you're a baker and you've got fucking cartridges for your whipping creamer, whatever it is, then you can get arrested. You're now an illegal person, right? So anyway, this is absolutely psycho shit. Fuck the Tories, fuck Rishi Sunak, fuck landlords, fuck all that shit. So there you go. There's the news chat. Anti-clown laws, right? Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like it's, that's what it is, isn't it? They don't want people clowning around, you know? I agree, Blumhouse. I think this simple digital system definitely won't easily be abused. And I definitely don't think that housing activists should abuse that either. I think that housing activists should definitely not, you know, DDoS that service, you know, absolutely destroy it, like submit 50 complaints a day about landlords themselves. I don't think that should ever happen. No one should ever do that, because that sounds like it'd be really, really bad and illegal to do. Yeah. So anyway, chat, we're going to move into some next political content. We are now going to be taking a quick look at Cuba's democracy in action. So let's take a look at what Cubans have been thinking about recently in terms of their democratic process, their elections, because they've had elections recently, I think. I might be wrong about that, but this video is from Belly of the Beast. If you're unfamiliar with Belly of the Beast, we watched a shit ton of their videos back at the start of last year, I think, where we all learned that Cuba is actually not a horrific authoritarian state where no one's allowed to do anything. We learned that actually it's extremely based and far more democratic than any nation in the imperial core. So let's have a look at this video. Please support Belly of the Beast Cuba. It's really, really, really cool. Really, really cool channel. Boom. There you go. Link to the video in the chat. Give the video a like. Give it a watch in a muted tab alongside the stream. Share it with your friends and give them a subscribe, because they deserve it.
Cuba held parliamentary elections on March 26th. 470 deputies have been elected to form the National Assembly for the next 5 years.
Vengo a votar porque es mi derecho.
Yo tengo mucha confianza en que ellos responden y defienden los intereses del pueblo.
Que traten de tener más comunicación con el pueblo, que es lo que necesitamos.
Esperamos que estos diputados no hagan transformaciones, cambios, que es muy necesario que se haga, porque la vida ha encarecido mucho.
Sunday's turnout was 75%, lower than in past parliamentary elections in Cuba. Cuban voter turnout is higher than most countries in the Americas, including in Canada and the United States.
Yep.
Está quien está a favor, quien está en contra.
La juventud, pues, sinceramente, mi criterio es que no le interesa, sinceramente.
Además, las políticas de asfixia económica contra Cuba lleva a un nivel de abstencionismo un poquito mayor.
Ellos han estado apostando a eso, ¿no? A tratar de que el pueblo se desanime, que haya más necesidades. Estamos hablando de que han recrudecido el bloqueo contra Cuba.
The Biden administration has embraced Trump's hostile posture toward Cuba. In recent days, the State Department has publicly criticized Cuba's electoral system.
Muchas cosas que dicen de la revolución, que si venimos obligados, las calumnias, las mentiras que dicen.
It's so fucking funny when they say, like, oh my god, they're forcing people to vote. And it's like, okay. You know, the voter turnout used to be much higher in Cuba because people directly remembered, you know, the embargo. They completely understood what was going on and the Cuban Missile Crisis, the hatred, the imperialism, Guantanamo Bay, all these things that oppress the Cuban people, right? And, you know, right, yeah, right. It's like, you know, it's just absurd. It's just absurd claiming that they're like forced to vote, because it's like, yeah, well, actually the voting turnout is much lower nowadays because the youngsters, the youth in Cuba think that it's the government's fault that they have such economic hardship, whereas it's actually definitely the fault of the embargo, right? It's the embargo. It's the fucking imperialist embargo placed on them by the imperial powers, right? Not just the UK, right? Hey, Discrotter, how you doing? Welcome in. Kiri Magic says, got our poll cards through today. They all say we need photo ID to vote. In a surprisingly okay move, the local Lib Dems have also sent out forms for postal votes so that people without photo ID can still vote. Yeah, that's pretty decent of them. Like, at the end of the day, photo ID being brought in, like voter ID being brought in the UK, is just another arm of fascism. It literally is. Like, think about all the people who would not vote Tory, right? Trans people, for one, famously have an issue with photo ID, right? If you know any trans person, they'll tell you the process to get a fucking voter ID or photo ID is fucking draining, to say the least. Secondly, migrants who have no fucking papers, yeah? Even Zanixi here in the chat doesn't have photo ID. Right? There are some people who were born in the UK who don't have a photo ID, don't have a passport, don't have a driver's license. You know what I mean? Extremely fucked. Extremely fucked. It makes me sad Obama started us on the path to normal positive relations with Cuba, and then Trump and Biden have destroyed that. Yeah. I found it laughable when the US say that Cuba, a pretty mild social democracy with some communist aesthetics, is a rendition of Stalin-era Russia. The US is more authoritarian than Cuba, honestly. Yeah, it really is. It really, really, really is. When you think about, like, you know, it's this is what I mean. It's rich for the US to say, oh my God, they force people to vote, right? In fucking Cuba. But they don't even let people vote in the US, right? Do you know what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous. How rich is that? What kind of a fucking rich statement is that? Oh, they make them vote. It's like, yeah, good. If they did make them vote, good. It's good to vote. If your fucking, you know, democratic system actually changes anything, you know, it's a bit of a self-report, really, isn't it? That they say that forcing people to vote is bad. You know. That's bad, and it's authoritarian, and it's not fair on the people. Like, no, it wouldn't be fair on the people in the US, where if you vote, nothing fucking changes, you know? Hey, Tabslot, hey, how you doing? Welcome in.
Hay un momento que usted abre el teléfono que salga algo sobre en contra de la revolución.
Cubans don't get to vote on one of the most pressing issues affecting them, the economic war waged against Cuba by the US.
Hay que ver cómo la gente apoya en medio de una situación tan compleja que uno también dice, bueno, si voy a representar, tengo que darlas todas por representar a este pueblo que merece más rápido que tarde la prosperidad que todos hemos soñado.
Yo pudiera tener un futuro dentro de Cuba, vendiendo de que el día de mañana, no sé, mejorar a Cuba económicamente.
El mayor obstáculo de nuestro país, de todo lo que impide que nuestro país salga adelante, es el bloqueo.
That's fucking right, chat. That's fucking right. They're doing democracy. How dare they? Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Tangentially related, but it's also rich for the US to accuse China of brainwashing kids or whatever. They make their own children sing the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. Well, it's like the North Korea thing, isn't it? They're like, oh my God, they brainwash everybody. Oh, and it's like, mate, have you seen some of the stuff that you do? Have you seen some of the stuff that you do? You know, just absurd. I agree. They're doing democracy. How dare they? Looks at any Middle Eastern country. We have to spread democracy. Right, I know, yeah. Well, they don't call the democracy in Cuba democracy. They call it authoritarian somehow, and if you ask too many questions about it, they just start to call you a communist, and that's game over, right? You know what I mean? Anyway, a bit more light-hearted stuff we're going to look at now. And this is the channel Be Here Now, who is a fellow Mancunian. And it's very interesting because we watched his video on Piccadilly Gardens and gentrification recently. And we were a little bit worried that this guy might be, you know, a bit of a lib or whatever. Not that it, you know, matters when he's doing a video on gentrification if he's got good ideas about gentrification and stuff like that. But specifically, he has made a video today. Not today. I think this came out. When did this come out? Is this? Yeah. Oh no, this video is literally from today. It's hot off the press. And it's called History of Manchester #7, Radical City. And it is a very radical city. You know, this is where Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels came after Marx was expelled from Germany or whatever. Hot off the video press, that's right. So let's take a look at this. It'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about this and to comment on it. So here's a link to the video in the chat. Please go follow this channel, go subscribe, give him a like, give him a comment, watch the video on a muted tab alongside the stream. And let's take a look at Be Here Now's video called History of Manchester, Radical City. Fucking loud. Jesus Christ.
From the late 18th century to the late 19th century, Britain transformed from a largely agrarian, artisanal society to a largely industrial one, with the population increasingly urbanised. Now, there are two revolutions happening at this time. Now, the first was the Industrial Revolution, the mechanisation of industry in mills and factories in these new urban centres. For example, here in Ancoats.
Yeah, loads of old mills.
History spends a lot of time celebrating the people at the forefront of this revolution. People like the Duke of Bridgewater and George Stephenson, like we've already looked at in videos past. But credit for the Industrial Revolution is never given to those people that actually made it happen. The men who built the canals, the kids who worked down the mines, and the women who worked in the cotton factories. The navvies, the engine drivers, the builders, the labourers, the dock workers. Without these people, the Industrial Revolution wouldn't have happened.
Also, a little remiss of him to not mention slaves in America. You know? Slave trade definitely was a big fucking thing. You know?
Not here in Manchester and not anywhere. The establishment could have all the business dreams they wanted, all the bright ideas, but they relied entirely on other people to make it happen.
Yeah.
As we've
That's P, that's P, that's P.
Pat Potato, you're right.
That's piss.
Oh my god, thank you so much, Pat Potato, for the £10. We are at £800 quids here in the DJ Muel stream for tonight. I believe that means that we just need another 20 people to donate £5. If you're one of 20 people, yeah, and you've got £5 to spare, then please consider subbing off Twitch. Not only does it mean, yeah, that I will be able to pay me rent this month, it also means that I will be able to pay my bills, to eat, all that kind of shit, you know. And yeah, it means that I might have a little money left over that I can pop in a little savings account for a rainy day, you know, because rainy days are getting very common nowadays. Love it. I love the cost of living crisis. I love my bills going up. It's very good. It's very normal. Anyway, excuse me. please donate via the sub off Twitch link in the chat. It means that not only 100% of the money comes to me, your boy, Donkus Jonkers Monkus, it also means that you won't be giving money to Twitch, who are a terrible platform for listening to the voices of marginalized streamers. The platform is still quite unsafe for people who are marginalized, and also the weight of success is definitely against marginalized streamers on this platform. So please consider that. It's kind of a protest donation. I do still appreciate subs via Twitch, the platform itself. Oh, Domuel Yorks!
I'm one of 20 people.
You are! Thank you so much for the £5. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. Really appreciate that. And also, welcome to the stream, Domuel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There we go, chat. 19 more people. Get a $5 over here, and we'll have fucking done it. And that means that you'll get a gnome stream. That's the incentive, by the way. We had a pretty good movie night this week, actually. I completely forgot about that. Getting to £450, the midpoint of the dono goal, means that double feature movie night gets unlocked if we do it before the middle of the month. And this month we watched Double Down and The Neverending Story 3. The Neverending Story 3 is quite possibly the worst. Oh!
Let's hear it for not giving money to Twitch.
Hell yeah. Gota, thank you so much for the £5. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. Really appreciate that. Yeah, it is based to not give money to Twitch. Yeah, it's also like the movie night that we had this month was so funny because I wanted to watch Neverending Story 3 because I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was. It was just kind of depressing. It just wasn't that good. And everyone was kind of sat there just watching it like, yeah, this sucks. But Double Down, well, Double Down was certainly a Neil Breen film, and that's the end of that. So there you go. Yeah, it was very fun. But yeah, if we get to £900 by the end of this stream tonight, we will be unlocking the gnome stream, which means that next month I'll be doing a stream dressed as a gnome. And won't that be fun for everybody? I think the answer to that you'll find is yes.
Seen already the new system that accompanied industrialisation.
That's right,
capitalism, where profits were maximised and costs minimised. More money for the owners of labour, as little as possible for the labour itself.
And this is where the second great revolution of the era begins to take shape. The uprising of the people against this unfair system. Okay, so first a trigger warning. This is a video about politics and uses words such as socialism, communism and capitalism. And if this isn't your sort of thing, then please do feel free to skip this video.
I love him. I actually think he's really based. I actually think that this guy is really based. I kind of knew that when he was doing a video on gentrification and stuff. And look, you can see some of the gentrification in the background, by the way. Where he is, by the way, is very funny because I actually went here to shoot some stuff for my new video. It's a car park in the middle of town, and it's very easily accessible. You can get up there, get some really good shots of the city. But it's so very obvious, especially from this place here, where the gentrification is. Like, you know, it's all around. Like, if you look at these like posh modern flats here on the right, and then you've got some others here on the left, the big high-rise glass buildings that are built by fucking Russian billionaires, do you know what I mean, on cheap land from the council and shit like that. Yeah, the big red building is like, yeah, obviously. And then in the background, in the very, very, very bit of the background there, you can see an old mill just under his left, well, his right ear here. Are those skyscrapers still empty? I don't know about these. I don't really go past them that much, but I do know that there was like a cleaner who was like a whistleblower who said that he was told to like go inside the flat. He was given the keys to all the flats and said, right, you got to go in some of these flats and just turn on the lights to make it look like people are in there. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Several such all around Portland, Oregon. You know, at the end of the day, it's a joke, right? It's a joke because these buildings are used to gentrify areas. If you don't know what gentrification means, it basically means pricing poor people out of the area, right? Poor people, overwhelmingly queer, racialized, working class people. It's just like, you know, you're not you're basically pricing people like this out the area. The thing is that they charge such high rents for buildings like this, and then rent goes up all around the fucking city as well, regardless, which means that rent's completely fucking unaffordable for everybody. But they're built so shittily, and they have such bad, Oh, Mr. Dank!
The Tories can tell you no sloppy steaks, but they can't stop you from ordering a steak and a glass of water. Hashtag become ungovernable.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dank, for the £5. I will definitely be getting a sloppy steak. Let's slop him up with that £5. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the subbing off Twitch and supporting the stream. Really appreciate that. Not long to go, chat. Not long to go. I think it's just like, 15 people now to donate? No, it's more than that. It's like, it was 20. I think it's like 17. Like 17 people or something. And then we're there. Anyway. It's weird. Yeah, or to hide people. Yeah. That's true as well. Yeah. They will like house people in badly built social housing in order to like, keep them away from rich areas kind of thing. It's really, really fucking bad. It's weird to me that these places sit empty and yet it increases the rents. Yeah, at the end of the day, the way that it works, it's like a big fucking scam. What they do is basically sell the land to developers, and then the developers rent the land to landlords or something. So I think they have to pay like a service charge, and that means that's how they still make a profit, etc. I don't know. And then I think I don't know. I can't remember exactly what it is. Ben knows all about this shit. Like Ben in the union, one of the staff organizers. He knows fucking everything about this shit. In fact, I think he speaks about it on the GMTU episode of Red Planet. So if you're wondering, just go back to that episode and check it out. Housing should not be privatized at all. It should not be. I agree. My city is full of empty apartment buildings because the companies make money off building them and price the rent so high that no one can afford them. That's what it is. Companies make money off actually just building them in general. Do you know what I mean? And then I think I think what it is that the development companies then own the property and own the land, so they like charge land rent, and then they also so I think like a building management company owns the building. They get service charge from landlords, even if they own the properties inside the building. And then obviously the landlords get money from the tenants. I think that's how it goes. So even if because service charge is always like ridiculously, if you wonder why like some apartments in the city center are so like expensive, generally speaking, it's because of a service charge. But service charge is always like ridiculously high. It doesn't need to be as high as it is. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the stuff that they charge for in service charges generally like doesn't get done. It's supposed to be used to like do maintenance on the building and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, service charges in new builds are criminal, like extremely fucked. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is, Zinixie. Devs own the property, sell leaseholds with the suggestion they'll be able to get huge rents. They don't get rented, but the devs still get the service charge. Right, exactly. Thanks for the follow. So there you go. Anyway, this guy's about to talk about capitalism, communism, socialism. So let's see what he's saying.
I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just telling a story. It started in France, where a messy yet effective movement of people sought to overthrow the corrupt monarchy and arrogance.
So, you might notice what's happening in France now, right? And apparently we're going through like an astrological change at the moment, where the last time it happened was 1789, right? And my partner, my girlfriend, keeps going on about this. And it is very exciting to see what's going on in France, because shit is popping off there, It always happens with Pluto and Aquarius, yeah. That's what it is. Pluto being in Aquarius, weird astrology. It makes people more radical or whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
Aristocracy in favour of a more even distribution of the nation's wealth, amongst other things. And the success proved what many had theorised for years but had never really seen happen. That when individuals came together to fight power in a collective way, they could transform an entire country.
Yeah.
The problem was, Britain had a very similar political setup, with all power shared between the monarchy and a parliament made up of a small number of landowning wealthy men. There were two factions in parliament, the Tories and the Whigs, neither in favour of democracy. In North America,
sounds a little similar.
To attack its colonies without giving them representation in Westminster led to revolts and eventually war. Independence for the United States inspired reformers in the UK to push for a better political setup, and a number of radical societies began to push for greater representation. Now a lot of this takes place in London, so I'll skip over it for the sake of this video, but the government came to deal with all this talk of reform by introducing new laws, prohibiting the meeting of people in public to no more than 50, and effectively outlawing trade unions. It was even illegal to imagine the destruction of the monarchy.
Imagine. You're not allowed to think. That's literally a thought crime. You're literally doing a thought crime in 1795. How are you going to prove that? How are you going to prove that? You know? Yeah, no gatherings of over 50 people, like extremely insane shit. No gathering of workers, trade unions, or collective bargaining. Booked.
But suppression only acted as a pressure cooker, and it was about to explode into violence.
That's right. God, he's gone fucking literally evicted for thinking that King Charles sucks. Yeah, imagine.
On the 10th of March 1817, between 5,000 and 10,000 weavers led by Samuel Drummond and John Bagley met here at St. Peter's Field, what was then an empty croft of land on the edge of town.
Oh God, it's just so crazy to think how different Manchester used to be. It's mental. Like, it's so sprawling and urban now. Like, just to think that there was like a plot of land near the centre of town that was empty and a field is just unimaginable. Absolutely unimaginable.
Present a petition to the Prince Regent, demanding that the government do something to help their struggling trade.
They were read the Riot Act and most left, but around 600 began marching anyway, blankets on their backs, earning the name the Blanketeers. They walked in groups of 10 to keep within the law, but they'd only made it as far as Stockport when around 200 of them were arrested without cause. A little while later in Macclesfield, the rest were dispersed by threats of violence from the cavalry. Only one man, Abel Caldwell, was able to continue on to London to present the petition, which was simply ignored.
Imagine that. Listen, chat, right? I went on a fucking bus to London last week and our petition is basically getting ignored. Imagine if you marched to London, yeah, and delivered a petition, right, and it got ignored. That would fucking suck.
Two years later, crowds were back in St. Peter's Fields in vastly different numbers. Between 60 and 80,000 people coming from all over the area. Many from villages in the hills, like here in Saddleworth.
Saddleworth's lovely.
They came with banners and instruments, wearing their best clothes. It was exciting, the first taste for many of them of collective action, of the possibility of fighting for their own rights. They had gone to hear some prominent speakers, including reformist Henry Hunt, who had been urged to travel up from London, and Mary Fildes, a local and an early advocate for women's rights. All had gathered calling for many things, including the end of the Corn Laws and the right to vote. Now, I've gone into more detail about what happened in another video, but the events of that day, when the crowd was attacked and chased down by hundreds of sabre-wielding soldiers on horseback, live now in infamy. It was the 16th of August 1819, and it would be forever remembered as the Peterloo Massacre.
Yeah.
Around 15 people died that day, and many hundreds more were badly injured as they fled. It was one of the worst incidents of its type on mainland Britain, and one that authorities tried hard to cover up for well on 100 years.
Authorities in Manchester took even longer to recognise it, finally erecting this pretty mediocre memorial to it in 2019, 200 years too late.
In it.
After Peterloo, the government cracked down even harder on general dissent amongst working people, using the fear of mob violence against the protesters themselves.
The labelling of protesters as unruly mobs hell-bent on violence and mindless destruction were used to turn public opinion against them, slowing down movements like the Chartists and reinforcing the status quo of corrupt politicians from wealthy backgrounds and the growing inequality up and down the country. It's a tactic still used today. Such images distract well from the issue itself.
Fucking based. Fucking absolute based. This guy's pretty good, chat. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
Focus on the threat of violence. Ignore the cause of it.
All in all, what happened here at Peterloo was a debilitating blow to British progressive politics, but it also served as a rallying call to a movement which was beginning to take a foothold in Britain, falling under the umbrella term of socialism.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's go. People power.
There has always been elements of socialist thinking popping up in history, but modern socialism began during the Enlightenment. The coming of the French Revolution and then the unfolding of the Industrial Revolution in Britain pushed it into the foreground. A great many philosophers and thinkers now began considering socialist ideals with seriousness. People like Charles Fourier, Louis Blanc, Thomas Paine, and Robert Owen.
So the only criticism that I would really have here is that, yeah, he didn't mention the slave trade in terms of like, talking about Manchester's industrialization, because of course it was key that we got cotton picked by unpaid labor, slave labor in the States, in order for people to actually make stuff with it. And also the idea that like socialism only really existed after the Enlightenment period. Great. All these white guys, finally realized that the systems that exist are really shit and bad. I think that's one of the worst lies of neoliberal capitalism, which is that like the only thing that has ever existed is capitalism, and like there's no other way to do anything ever, when like not just various indigenous nations in Turtle Island, aka the Americas, were practicing socialism, not just socialism, but full communism and anarchism in many ways. But also in the imperial core, like, original Celtic tribes, original indigenous Picts, and the actual indigenous British people were living in basically anarchy, basically socialism for years and years and years, until the Romans came and fucking destroyed them. We're talking about these dominator cultures, who essentially just destroyed the ways of life of people even in the imperial core, not just in the, because first it was the Romans in, I guess, Europe, ancient Europe, and then you've also got the Normans who came in and fucked shit up as well, and then you've also got the colonial powers that then came together and then destroyed indigenous people in the Americas, and then in Russia they just destroyed a bunch of indigenous people in indigenous Russia, Siberia. Yeah, like this is the thing you have to remember, like there hasn't always just been capitalism, but again, like this, it's you can't expect, like, I guess everybody to know everything about all that kind of stuff, but yeah, it's important to know, right? It's important to know.
Born in Newtown in Wales, Robert Owen moved to Manchester at the age of 18.
I think the point of what I was trying to say there is that it's an insidious lie to say, and it's such a joke that we had all these like quote unquote top thinkers who turned around and went like, oh, this system's pretty bad, like maybe we should do it like a little differently that's like kind of fairer to people, when, you know, a radically different history existed, whereby the fruits of Mother Nature were available to everybody despite who they were or what they thought or what they looked like, you know? So yeah, it just really pisses me off that it's like, you know, these guys were praised for being like, oh wow, socialism, great, what great idea. It's like, yes, it would be great if we weren't forced to use this imaginary currency to survive. That would be great. That would be great.
Started off as a draper's assistant in St Anne's Square. At 21, he was made manager of the Piccadilly Mill on Auburn Street, the first steam-powered mill in the city. A while later, he became part owner of the Chorlton Twist Mill in Chorlton-on-Medlock.
Oh, no fucking way. It's still there today.
Influenced by the rapidly changing city around him and the poverty spreading quickly throughout Manchester, Owen became resolved to find a different way to do things. He was elected to the Manchester Literary and Philosophical Society and the Board of Health, with the aim of pressing for better health and working conditions within mills and factories. Owen opened his own mill in Lanarkshire, Scotland, where he set up a community of workers that ran on broadly socialist principles. Banning child labour.
I don't think he spelt Lanarkshire wrong, did he?
Emphasising education, 8-hour working days, and communal living. He opposed the monetary system and religion, and he argued that working people should be well paid, educated, and provided for, and that the absence of capitalism would lead to a classless society which provided for all. The basis of all of this was cooperation.
Yeah, so why didn't he just like let his workers own all the shares in the factory then? Why didn't he do that? Why didn't he do that? This guy talked a big game but didn't walk the walk, really, did he? You know?
A true philanthropist, Owen never got to see any of his utopian ideals universally accepted. But in Rochdale, a small town just north of Manchester, the ideas of cooperatives were about to take off. Unemployment and poverty forced a group of people, many of them weavers, to form the Rochdale Society of Equitable Pioneers. It was a cooperative, and while not the first in the world, it was the one that established many guiding principles of the cooperative movement, known as the Rochdale Principles.
Yeah, that's right, Muel.
In simplified terms, a cooperative was a form of socialist business organisation where the workers themselves were the owners and managers, as opposed to the traditional business model, which was dictatorial and authoritarian in nature. Many of the hundreds of little cooperatives popping up in Lancashire and Yorkshire then merged into what would become the Cooperative Wholesale Society, with its worldwide headquarters still based here in Manchester.
Yeah, so that is, if you're unaware, the people that own the co-op stores, you know, like the co-op, actually like working in the co-op and that.
Originally here, but now over here, on the edge of Angel Meadow, where the poorest of the poor once lived in squalor. In 1835, French historian Alexis de Tocqueville came to Manchester to see for himself what industrialisation meant for the world, and he described what he found in brutally honest terms. From this foul drain, the greatest stream of human industry flows out to fertilise the world. Mm-hmm. From this filthy sewer, pure gold flows. Here humanity attains its most complete development, and its most brutish. Here civilization works its miracles, and here civilized man is turned back, almost, into a savage.
Some colonialist way of talking about things, but I understand the
cooperative
sentiment.
Movement had been born, but it was still no match for capitalism, which had already created two clear tiers of Mancunians, the super rich and everybody else.
Yeah.
To defeat this inequality and bring some...
How the co-op got yellow would be a great video. Yeah, I think you're right, because this is a thing. It's like, I'm like absolutely fucking certain that the co-op does not no longer give all of its employees an equal share in the business. I'm absolutely fucking certain of it. Do you know what I mean? Certain of
back
it.
Into economics. It was time for some more radical thinking. And once again, Manchester was ground zero. This building is the Mechanics Institute, where the first ever trade union congress was held in 1868, an event that got the ball rolling on organised labour on a large scale. The Mechanics Institute itself was set up to try and teach more people the skills behind mechanics and manufacturing, to offer a kind of social mobility to poorer Mancunians.
So apparently, it says here on their website, our co-op is owned by individual members and other co-ops, not big investors, and our members get a chance to have a say in how we're run. Profits mean members receive money, rewards, and offers, and a co-op can support its local community. So, like, I don't know if that means that, like, I still don't know if that means that everyone gets an equal share in the business. Do you know what I mean? It's like, is every employee a member? You know? You know, this is what they say. You can find out more about co-ops around the world at the International Cooperative Alliance. It would be really fucking sick if it was. But it's also like a bank. Do you know what I mean? The co-op also has like a bank, so it's like, that's not ethical at all. Do you know what I mean? And I can't imagine like individual members saying like, yeah, let's have a bank as well. I don't know. I just don't fucking know, man. It just doesn't seem right. Hey Lena, what's going on? Co-op members and workers were supposed to get a share of the profit when I worked there a few years ago, but I don't think it ever happened. The reason I was talking about this is because I remember you talking about that. Yeah, I just don't think it is gonna be that. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like it's that. Anyway, hello Carpe Pax. How you doing? Everybody go follow Carpe Pax. He's great. Also chat, my girlfriend is in chat. You should all be nice to her. So they invest. Means testing always creeps in, which is why we have to decommodify needs. Yep. Is a co-op bank similar to a credit union? I don't know. Guilds and co-ops are a bit of a mixed bag. Yeah. Yeah, weird.
Near to the Mechanics Institute was the Athenaeum, which is now part of the city's art gallery, and it was a place of art and ideas for the city's well-educated. One of the people who came here was Robert Owen, and another man called Richard Cobden.
Cobden was a self-made business magnate who advocated for something called free trade, a kind of open capitalism that argued for fewer government tariffs and barriers, but also the end of wars,
That's right, Prince.
which were bad for business. Cobden was also a formidable politician, arguing for the establishment of a Manchester City Council, and he became one of the first.
Yeah, they got
aldermen of the
overdraft
Manchester
fees, right?
Corporation,
Exactly.
a forerunner to the council.
Yes, I saw that. I thought that too. One who reads.
He
Yeah.
and other free traders
Thank you for the follow,
hated
by the way.
Corn Laws, which, by the way, was still around until 1846, nearly 30 years after Peterloo. He and his friends formed the Manchester School and celebrated the repeal of the Corn Laws by building a new free trade hall on the site of the Peterloo Massacre itself.
Yeah. And I believe the Free Trade Hall was where the Sex Pistols played in 1979, I think. And in that gig, there was, I think, Morrissey, Peter Hook, and what's his face from Joy Division, the guy that died, Robert, what's his fucking name? You know what I mean? Lead singer of Joy Division, and a bunch of other people who would go on to form, Ian Curtis, that's right, bunch of people who would go on to form bands that basically solidified the Manchester music scene. Yeah.
Cobden's success would have been witnessed by two men who might not have agreed very much with him. both frequent visitors to the Athenaeum. They were German, they had beards, and they were about to change the world.
There it is, the famous Friedrich Engels statue that everyone was saying, we need to take it down because it was made by Soviets. Robert Smith from The Cure was there. Yeah. Wait, Robert Smith was The Cure, if that's who your brain was making you think of? Wait, what are you on about? No, I wasn't thinking of Robert Smith. No, I know who Robert Smith is. Just because John Lydon sucks now doesn't mean the Pistols weren't actually cool. Yeah, but they weren't though, were they? They were a plastic band created by Vivienne Westwood, weren't they? To sell clothes. Like, that's the history of the Sex Pistols. So no, they weren't cool. Is the actual truth. Even if John Lydon was somehow extremely based and not a conservative piece of shit nowadays. Oh, by Malcolm McLaren? I thought it was Vivienne Westwood. Wait, hang on a second. Malcolm McLaren. But it was for, like, fashion, right? Impresario, visual artist, singer, songwriter, musician, clothes designer. Yeah. And Westwood was married to him. She used to manage the Sex Pistols. Yeah. Or he did. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, some of those clothes had Nazi swastikas on them. Right. Yeah. And interestingly enough, when they made the film Sid and Nancy, right, here's a little bit of trivia for you, and we found this out on a stream like 2 fucking years ago, which is on the highlights of which I think are still on my YouTube channel. They might not be, but basically, there was a film called Sid and Nancy, and they couldn't get it past the studio to have Sid wear a swastika t-shirt because it would get banned in loads of different countries, right? So what they decided was they would have the red banner, the white circle, and instead of a swastika, they would put in a black hammer and sickle, right? And that, because obviously communism is just as bad as Nazism, right? That's what they were going with, these people who made this fucking film. That symbol became the symbol for National Bolshevism, which is the Nazbols, right? And the Nazbols were basically the sort of vanguard party of Putin and supporting people like Alexander Dugin, and, you know, all you hear about all these like fucking fasci MAGA communists and shit like that. They all like love him. You know what I mean? A lot of punks were wearing swastikas then. Context of the time does matter. What do you mean? What do you fucking mean by that? I do personally wish it hadn't been a statement piece of the time. Listen, if punks were wearing swastikas, they would get the shit kicked out of them by other punks. That's just a fact. We know this. We know this happened. You know, the Dead Kennedys made a song called... or was it the Dead Kennedys made a song called Nazi Punks Fuck Off? Who made that tune? Yeah, Dead Kennedys. Yeah. You know, we know this. We know that this is true. Anyway. Hey, Enderpig, how you doing? Welcome in. Anyway, let's crack on. I feel like my brain is leaking out hearing about this. Yeah, it's messed up, right?
In the last video, we saw that poverty was beginning to spread like a plague across the city as the century progressed. We looked at Little Island down by the banks of the Medlock, but here, off the banks of the Irk, was a much older, much longer lasting neighbourhood of slum houses. Probably the worst.
Yeah. I think what you have to remember about like the thing of like, oh, punks were thingy on it, do you know what I mean? Punks wore swastikas and stuff, is that like the punk movement was extremely linked to the skinhead movement, and the skinhead movement was fundamentally part of a combination of cultures from West Indian, Caribbean migrants to the UK, and British working class people, white working class people, which basically, was the ska movement, the two-tone movement, interracial and shit like that. And when punks came around, there was a lot of people who were into ska who liked punk. There was a big sort of mashup of cultures and shit like that. And, if people started wearing swastikas, they would get the shit kicked out of them, there definitely were Nazi punks. No, I don't think anyone is saying that wasn't the case, but if you wore a swastika, you'd get beat up. You would. Genuinely. Wasn't that common.
The slum house.
Hey Gart, how you doing? Cursory Google, the only Viv Westwood piece I'm seeing with a swastika also says destroy on it, seeming to imply destroy Nazis. Extremely cursory though, there's pieces I'm not seeing. You're not going to see something like that. Listen, if she made a fucking a piece of clothing with a swastika on it, she's not going to keep that, is she? Do you know what I mean? In the history, she's going to want to fucking get rid of all of that. You know what I mean?
Houses here were built below the floodline of the river, and Manchester's poorest lived in squalor and disease right here. A little further uphill was a church and a cemetery, where even in death there was no peace.
Now, consecrated in 1787, this was originally Manchester's largest cemetery, and it was here where the poorest people in Manchester were buried, those who couldn't afford a proper burial. And it was really a mass grave.
No fucking way, man. I didn't know that shit.
With little care. Around 40,000 people were buried here on this tiny little spot.
What the fuck?
By 1816, it was simply too...
Wait, where is this? Angel Meadow.
Consecrated in 1787, this was originally Manchester's largest cemetery, and it was here where the poorest people in Manchester were buried.
Hey,
those
Willard,
who
how you
couldn't
doing?
afford a proper burial. And it was really a mass grave. Pits were dug and bodies were thrown in with little care. Around 40,000 people were buried here on this tiny little spot.
By 1816, it was simply too full.
Oh, okay, I know where that is.
It was then left for many years, with reports of human bones being dug up and ground down for fertiliser, forcing the whole place to be flagged in the middle of the century.
Mental.
In December 1842, a young man called Friedrich Engels came to Salford from Germany to work at the Ehrmann and Engels Victoria Mill here in Weest, and it was part owned by his father. And it's not here anymore today, it's just a motorway. Friedrich's fascination...
Definitely haunted, definitely haunted.
Who hoped that sending him here to run a mill in Salford would distract him from his radical thinking. In fact, it put him in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. Now, Engels used his spare time to study Manchester, walking its streets and taking notes of what he saw. And occasionally, he came here, one of the few non-residents who dared to do so. And he was horrified.
Disgusting using someone's corpse as fertilizer without their consent. I mean, yeah, it is. And this is what, the material conditions of the Industrial Revolution made people do, right? And that's what you've got to remember. I'm not trying to excuse it, but it's people are driven to these inhumane things because of the pressures put on them by capitalism, right? That's what happened. It was industrialization. People were basically selling the bones to a rag and bone man. A rag and bone man would go around your neighborhood and take a bone to make into glue or fertilizer, grind it down and shit like that. So he'd give you money for that, and then he'd go away and make a profit on it, basically. And yeah, if someone's going to give you fucking human bones and you're trying to make money off Do you know what I mean? Shit like that. Like, yeah, you're just going to take it, aren't you? You know what I mean? You're not going to fucking ask any questions. You're just going to be like, yeah, sweet, give me dough. And you know, when we talk about like people doing horrible things, I want you to think about that in relation to like people who commit crimes, right? So when people steal things from each other, when people steal like, you know, someone's car and shit like that, you know what I mean? It's like these are the actions, not of horrible people, right? They're the actions of people driven to desperation to survive. You know what I mean? Someone nicks your car and sells it or whatever, strips it down for parts, etc., etc. They've done that because they're desperate. You know what I mean? They're willing to chance it in prison, or you know, to get some dough from making someone else's life shit. Do you know what I mean? Rag and bone men still trot around Hull? Yeah, of course they do, yeah.
From the Juicy Bridge, he noted...
Yeah, that's what rag and... Yeah, it's a rag and bone man. Hang on a minute. I'm going to have to fucking do some real... This was like a thing. It was still a thing when I was a kid in Warrington growing up. The rag and bone man would come round, but he had like a van. The rag and bone man would sell a kind of a stone called a donkey stone, and it was kind of made in Manchester, and they would be used to clean greasy steps and give them a non-slip finish. So someone would come round and be like, yeah, do you want a donkey stone? Give us some rags and stuff like that. Yeah, weird shit basically, but yeah, they would get them from these places. They were never used back in the fucking, you know, back in the day. Yeah, ceased training in 1979. There was still some getting about, I think, but like, yeah, so it would look like this. One of these things. And you know, like, you know them like pumice stones that you have to you know, what do they call it? Exfoliate your dusty feet, your fucking dusty ass, crusty ass feet. Pumice stone kind of operates on that that kind of physics. Why is it called a donkey stone? It's just the brand name. It's nothing to do with donkeys, I don't think. Yeah, here you go. So quite often the stones would be given out in exchange for old clothes or scrap metal by rag tatters or rag and bone men, as they were sometimes called. Yeah, you could give them bones, you could give them scrap metal, rags, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, they'd either give you like some, I don't know, maybe half a penny or something, and a donkey stone. Capitalism incentivized scamming is something I've been saying a lot lately. It does, because if you think about it, exploiting other people, right? If you think about it, yeah, right, just in general, like the whole sort of like pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, you definitely can like do that. Obviously, that's a lie. And when you realize that's a lie, you just basically like, oh, right, well, the only way to actually get anywhere in this world is to make other people work for me, and I just get all the profit, right? You're incentivized to fuck people over. That is the original scam. The original scam is commodification of needs, and also the fucking, you know, the fact that you have to work for someone else and that they get more money than you for doing nothing. It's all a scam, isn't it? Rags would be processed into fibres that would be used to make new cloth called shoddy or mungo. There's a shoddy and mungo factory in Dewsbury in West Yorkshire. Local landmark. Oh, there you go. There you go. Anyway, I've got to go for a wee chat, so...
That's piss.
I'll be back in a tick. Okay, I'm back. Hey. I also have a friend with dogs called Shoddy and Mungo. Ooh, that's quite a cute name for a dog.
At the bottom flows, or rather stagnates, the Irk, a narrow, coal-black, foul-smelling stream. In dry weather, a long string of the most disgusting blackish-green slime pools are left standing, from the depths of which bubbles of miasmatic gas constantly arise and give forth a stench unendurable, even on a bridge 40 or 50 feet above the surface.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Above the bridge are tanneries, bone mills and gasworks, from which all drains and refuse find their way into the Irk, which receives further the contents of all neighbouring sewers and privies. If anyone wishes to see in how little space a human being can move, how little air, and such air, he can breathe, how little of civilization he may share and yet live, it is only necessary to travel hither. Everything which here arouses horror and indignation is of recent origin, belongs to the industrial epoch.
Yeah, sure. People will feed their family. If they can't do it legally, they will do it another way. Heard this as a very young kid and made me think, made me some kind of leftist person. Yeah, it's true though, isn't it? It's true.
So while the rich were getting richer, they were also ignoring the widespread poverty faced by their employees every day. And the city was being designed to hide that poverty from their eyes. Like the slums of Little Island on the other side of the city, being hidden from the nearby Oxford Road.
Engels met with local radicals and Chartists, which solidified his thinking. His book, The Condition of the Working Class in England, was published in Germany in 1845, but not actually in England until decades later. In 1844, Engels was heading back to Germany by way of Paris, when he bumped into a man he'd met briefly before. This was Karl Marx, a writer and philosopher from Prussia, who was developing theories of societal organisation along liberal and class lines. Marx was beginning to believe that working people, the masses, were a revolutionary force capable of upending the political order. In Paris, he and Engels discussed theories like this in great detail and formed a close friendship.
By close friendship, he means they were gay, because they were gay as shit.
Fascinated by Engels' writing and tales of Manchester, Marx travelled to the city at least 20 times over the years, staying with Engels, who funded the poverty-stricken philosopher year after year.
We don't need to ship Marx and Engels, because they were definitely fucking. Like, they both died unmarried, without girlfriends. You know? Hey, Big Bug Nuts, how you doing? Yes, they were roommates. That's what they want you to think. That's what they want you to think. These two sound based. I wonder if they collaborated.
Saw a few episodes ago, the pair journeyed frequently to Chetham's library, one of the finest in the country, and sat and studied in this window alcove. Now, it's silly to say that the communism that Marx is wrongly credited for creating was born in any one place.
Oh my god, it's happening!
Its core ideas go back centuries. But if there's one place Marx and Engels really got stuck into it, it was here, at this very table.
Oh, I bet they got stuck into it. Okay, he actually did fucking mention the fact that, like, the ideas of communism go back fucking centuries. So, yeah, cool. All right, based. He didn't explicitly mention indigenous nations, but yeah, cool. That's good enough for me. This guy's pretty fucking based, chat. Not gonna lie, another based mank out here, buzzing. I wonder if he's in the tenants union. Hopefully he is. You can ship canon couples. You can actually, can't you? Yeah. Hey Vord, how you doing? Welcome in.
Talked and developed their theories hour after hour. The condition of Manchester's poorest residents only confirmed to Marx what he had long believed, that this runaway capitalism would, if left
there are
unchecked,
lots of leftists who don't know
lead
that,
to immense suffering of the many for the profits of a tiny few. In 1848, the pair published the Communist Manifesto. A pamphlet
hey, delicate friend, how you doing?
History has always been a struggle between the tiny elite who hold all the power and the wealth.
Yeah, is the rest of the videos good? Yeah,
who are exploited by them. Capitalism, they argued, was the continuation of this duality. Those with money exploiting the masses of people who did all the work. They argued for things like free education for all, abolition of child labour, and a progressive income tax. But they also argued that changing and improving society didn't have to be a slow, gradual process. It could, and should, be a sudden sharp revolution of the working classes, who would then hold all of the power. Furthermore, they argued, this revolution was inevitable.
It is inevitable. Yeah.
Now Engels moved
Here we
around
go.
Manchester
Cheetah
quite a
Mill.
lot, from house to house, but one was here in this area at 70 Great Juicy Street in Strangeways, and it was here that Marx stayed for a whole month in 1852. And from that building, it was only a very short walk to Chetham's library. By now, Marx lived in dire poverty in London and was often plagued with ill health, and he increasingly saw Manchester as a place of refuge, a place to come and ease his mind. And that was proved in 1853 when the death of his 8-year-old son Edgar left him grief-stricken and desperate to come north.
Oh, so he had a son. Oh, okay, so maybe he did have a wife. I don't know.
Marx is often depicted as a big, angry, powerful figure by both sides of the political line. In fact, he and Engels would often drink themselves merry in pubs around Manchester after a long day's research in the library. He was also a workaholic who was always ill, and yet who sadly outlived his wife and several of his children.
Hi, 2-Pint Princess. How's it going? Bisexual king. Yeah, he definitely was.
Socialism, Marxism and communism were ideas born out of a rapidly changing world. Industrialisation, yes, but also a booming population which led to a scarcity of resources. But all three had great empathy for the masses of ordinary working people who were forced to sell their labour to a system which was clearly exploiting them.
Right.
Wealthy idealists like Owen and Cobden, and many others outside of Manchester of course, tried to materialise a world in which capitalism worked without exploiting people. But capitalism was proving to be quite resistant to change. Now Engels and Marx argued that the ruling class could not and would not make capitalism work for ordinary people. They would just keep on adapting the ever-changing economy.
Yeah. Marx would basically write letters to Engels that said, by the way, my rent is due on the 19th of whenever. Can you pay it, please? Basically.
To suit their own ends.
Like he just used to do that all the time.
Masses against this unfair system was, in their eyes, unstoppable. If only the masses could learn to work together and act with one angry voice. And if we look again at that graphic of capitalism, we begin to see why the ruling classes were so worried about the collective action of ordinary people. Capitalism had begun to act like the feudal system which had come before it, with a very tiny minority holding all the power and the wealth above the vast.
Chat, that's like me with you. Actually, I am just like him for real. Aren't I? I'm actually just like him for real. Like, I'm always like, oh, by the way, chat, my rent is due at the start of next month, so please give me money. Money now, me money, money me. Need money. Money now, money me. So yeah.
Majority of people. Workers banding together to take on that hierarchy was a direct threat to a power structure that had existed for thousands of years. In a way, workers organising was a bigger revolution in history than industrialisation itself. It's surprising then that in later years, such principles could be hijacked so easily by people like Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong, who installed themselves
Engels without the
in the role
benefits,
of
that's right.
absolute ruler, effectively recreating the old power hierarchy all over again. And for now, I'm going to leave it there. The story of a radical city taking shape. Next time, we'll have a look at where exactly all this was leading to. The failure of those in power to provide the changes that were desperately needed. And the success of Mancunians in forcing that change. Not the change that Marx had envisioned, which was rapid and revolutionary, but a slow change that came bit by bit. The dreams of Peterloo finally fulfilled after a slow, agonizing wait.
Oh, he ruined it at the end. Oh, he ruined it at the end. What are you on about? What are you on about, man? What are you fucking talking about? Yeah, you lost me there, bro. Like, this slow incremental change has not made life any better for working class Mancunians. What are you talking about? There are so many people suffering in this city. What are you on about? It's funny because it's like, I think that lots of people... Gentrification does this, right? Gentrification literally, like, says, oh, look at all these pretty buildings. They're looking really good and really nice. And it, like, makes you think that, like, somewhere is thriving and it's good, right? But you can have, like, a really nice golden statue in your city. It doesn't mean that there aren't people, like, literally starving to death down the road. You know what I mean? He had us in the first half. He did have us in the first half. It's still a good video anyway. I think he's all right. You know, bit of a lib, but you know, I think the general message is quite cool. You know, some of the comments are very interesting. Nice new installment. I don't feel swayed at all, comrade. Yeah, you're getting a like. You're getting a like. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. There would appear to be a global revolution taking place right now, moving away from a unipolar world. What are you on about? What does that mean? These, like, conspiracy theorists in fucking YouTube comment sections, they drive me up the fucking wall, honestly. They're, like, so close to getting it, you know? So close to understanding the true conspiracy, which is, of course, neoliberal capitalism. Chat, you've got about half an hour to donate to the stream before we before the chance of a gnome stream is lost forever. So yeah, what do we need? £83 or something like that. Let me do some maths. I hate doing maths. 900 take away 817.59. Need 82.41 divided by 5. 16. I need 16 people to donate £5. Chat, I believe we can do it. It's definitely easily doable. It's gonna happen. I believe in you. We're gonna unlock the gnome stream tonight. This is the last stream of the month, unfortunately. But, yes, please consider subbing off Twitch. Because you could unlock that gnome stream. You could also make sure that I'm a happy, healthy, funded mule. So, there you go. Holy shit, Adorable with the £5! Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. I appreciate you. Thank you. There we go. That's the start of it. That's just the start of it, chat. Now we need 15, only 15 cheeky little chatters to sub off Twitch. And that'll be that. That will be that, won't it? Delicate friend, I appreciate the Prime sub. Thank you so much. But we are looking to get direct donos to the sub off Twitch command in the chat. There it is. There it is. Hit us up. It's a sub on Twitch. Oh, no. I know. I appreciate Prime subs. I do. But yeah, no, we are looking for subs off Twitch. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, at least no extra money goes to Twitch, right? That's the main thing about a Prime sub. It's still pretty good. Anyway, I've got another video for us to watch, chat, and it's time. It is actually time. We're going to be watching a new garden guy. It's a new garden guy. And this garden guy is going to be telling us 10 vegetables and herbs to Americans for shaded gardens. So it's time for us to enter into soft soil boy mode. I'm afraid. yeah, there's not really many content warnings to worry about for this section of the stream, you know, apart from bugs. There could possibly be some, you know, some bugs in this content. Herbs. Countdown, sub goal, politics title, content warning. There we go. That's what I'm after. Bugs. Might see some bugs. So some squiggly little guys. You know? You don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. Potentially rhubarb phobia. Stop. Stop, man. Don't fucking even joke about that shit. I'll literally go sicko mode if anyone tries to start saying that we're oppressing vegetables. Okay, alright. This is it. This is it. This is the video. Look how close it is, chat. Look how close the meter is to being filled. That fucking dono bar. Holy shit. So close. You could fill it up. That could be you right there, you know? So I don't know this guy. He's called Next Door Homestead. He looks like he's from the north. Potentially north of Europe. Not sure. Don't know anything about him, so I'm not gonna share his details just yet in case he's a fucking weirdo. But if he is a weirdo, that could be quite funny, couldn't it? So let's watch it and see what happens.
Hi there and welcome back to my garden. Today I'm sitting in my backyard container garden where you may notice that something is missing.
Wait, is he a Yank or is he Swedish?
The sun is missing from my garden. Turns out that the topic of what plants grow well in a shady spot is one I am uniquely qualified to go through with you. So today's video is going to be very simple. I'm going to show you 10 plants that I have personally vetted will grow in a shady or partial shade location and still give you plenty of food to be worth.
That's a massive dog on screen.
Find the shade. Let's get into it.
Swedish Yank.
Right here, I've got
you know when sometimes people have like an accent, like an American accent, and they are like, you know, speaking in an American accent, but every sort of like other word they say kind of like in a bit of a funny way, like, or you know, like they'll be there like, hey everybody, I'm coming from North America to you, you know what I mean? That's a Swede right there. It's only Swedish people that do that.
Absolute wall of arugula plants. These are well and truly bolted. Did you know that arugula flowers actually are fully edible and they taste pretty nice? They've got that same sort of characteristic peppery kick that arugula leaves have as well, and they look pretty nice in salads. I planted these last fall.
Arugula, you heard it here first, folks. Arugula.
And they did pretty well. I was actually surprised. They grew big, they grew fast, they grew strong in a very, very, very shady location. Maybe 4 hours of sun per day, less during winter. And they actually held up during winter pretty nicely as well. And for what it's worth, we also grew spinach back here, we grew lettuce back here, we grew a Japanese mustard green, Mizuna, back here.
I think this guy might be a Yank.
Vigor in the face of lots of shade. The arugula. Actually,
Japanese mustard.
It tasted good.
Arugula tastes like dandelions. Oh, right.
Of our shady fall garden. Then Frise Endive was undoubtedly the champion of our shady spring
bad
last year. We grew a ton of it in this area back here where the arugula currently is. Oh my goodness, it did so well. What's interesting about the Frise Endive is that it not only did better than most of our plants in the shade, it did better than almost all of our leafy greens in the full sun as well, making it a really impressively adaptable plant, especially if you like to mix in slightly more.
Hey, Rat Freak, arugula is called rocket in the UK. Is that right? Arugula is rocket? Is that what that is? Arugula. Arugula. Oh yeah, that is rocket. Yeah, it's just rocket. Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, arugula is so nice. I love that shit. I love rocket. Rocket salad. You know, have a bit of rocket, have some vinegar on it. Oh yeah, buzzing.
Into your salad mixes. Endive has a great texture and a really
He's from the West Coast, do you reckon?
I think it's going to become more popular in the coming years. Hi there, sorry for the interruption. I do have a quick request here. If you think this video is going to help you with the
Alright, Discrotter, thank you so much for being here.
would you mind hitting the like button somewhere down there? Yeah, it actually just tremendously helps us out. I really genuinely appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for hitting the like button. Let's get back to our shade garden. In my experience, the absolute champion of a shade garden is the humble carrot. So these guys are a pretty good example of this. I planted these last fall.
Cut1457 says, hi, Yank here. Why is it called Rocket? I don't fucking know. Why is it called arugula? That's my question to you.
That's a good time to plant carrots, except this area from...
Is that what you want me to Google? You really want me to Google
is complete shade. It's
Rocket
completely blocked by our house in conjunction with the lower angle
salad
of the sun.
Etymology?
There were actually only 2 plants in this entire container garden area that put on...
Oh, it's related in origin to something called rucola. Rucola. Italian word from which we took rocket in the 16th century was rucetta. There you go. What do you call carrots in Britain? Fimbly bobs.
Size in the last 4 months.
Crimble sprickets.
One of those 2. Now, did they grow fast? Absolutely not. But did they grow big? Also no, absolutely not, they did not. But there are some very tasty little fingerling carrots in here, which is absolutely insane considering this area basically didn't get any direct sun. It's all reflected and they still grew. Pretty cool. All right, see these little beauties are right here. These are mache greens, sometimes called corn salad mache greens. And as you can see, they're absolutely loving life in these containers. And I do recommend growing corn salad mache in containers because they tend to grow on the slower side.
Corn salad mache.
More of a perennial, just because they take a while to get started and then they really take off once they've got some mass. I've got them here planted next to some slow bolt lettuce. We planted these at the same time, and you can tell, obviously, the mache greens are much, much smaller. But basically, mache greens are shade tolerant, cold weather loving green machines. They grow really, really well in the cooler weather.
I don't understand. What is it? I've never heard of this before in my entire life. Corn salad. It grew as a weed between the rows of cereal crops such as corn, rye, and wheat. Oh.
Fall. This is a particularly good crop for late fall because it will continue to put on mass even after most of your other
it's gonna put on mass like me.
Your tails have kind of gone dormant and you're just picking them even when they're not really growing. The mache greens will continue growing a little bit longer. But again, they do take a while to get to that point.
This is the content you get in a busy week, chat. This is the content you get.
Whatever season you are planting them in. All right, let's move on to the summer garden where we have
rumba moment, salsa moment,
just a little bit. Whereas some of those cool weather leafy greens and rooting crops, they'll do well enough on 4 or 5 hours of sunlight, or at least they'll give you some crop as long as you're patient. We're probably going to need more like 5 or 6 hours minimum to grow these summer crops. Luckily for most of us, that adjustment in sun hours happens naturally as the angle of the sun changes throughout the season. Again, depending how far away you are from the equator. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few plants that did surprisingly well in our shade.
This music does not fit what is going on here. Even remotely, it's like party time. Yeah, you know, we're going crazy. Watch out. Oh my God. And this guy's just like sat in his garden talking about plants. Hey Johnny, how's it going? Good to see you. You know?
Your locations in the summer garden. I started growing these little beauties, these black cherry tomatoes, because I saw a few comments online.
Samba equals summer, that's right.
To produce a big harvest with fewer hours of direct sun versus other cherry tomato varieties. And let me tell you what, I have experimented with other cherry tomato varieties in partial shade locations, and by and large, those experiments were total failures. So you can imagine my surprise when the black cherry tomatoes actually did pretty well on the shadier hedged side of our main garden. Don't get me wrong, these plants weren't in pure shade, but they did produce more fruit with less light than some of the other cherry tomatoes.
Okay.
Pretty impressive. Not to mention, they somehow ended up being my favorite eating tomato as well. I really, really enjoyed them. In fact, out of about a dozen, maybe more tomato varieties that we tried last year, the black cherry tomato was my favorite to grow.
Black cherry tomato.
Tomatillos are fast becoming one of my absolute favorite plants plants in the garden. And one major reason why
is that what they are?
Flexibility and adaptability.
Tomatillos.
Like frisee endive, tomatillos tend to do a little bit better in both shade and sun.
Oh no, these are different,
right? Than the peppers, the eggplants, and the tomatoes. They're interesting for.
Bro, focus the camera. What are you doing? I couldn't see any of that. Oh, we made this in. This is in 4K. Check out this fucking 4K ass video, chat. Holy shit.
They actually do a pretty good job in seeking plants in the tomatoes. Both
still look shit.
Sun, then they're
you're still not focused properly.
Counterparts, right? Then the peppers, the
bro, focus.
The tomatoes. They're interesting.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
They actually do a pretty good job in seeking out.
Hey Wobbegong, what's going on?
Sun. In that way, they kind of actually remind me of a winter squash. If you ever grown winter squash in a partial shade location, you may have noticed that the vines sort of do a good job of creeping and crawling and going up and sideways and finding those sunniest spots in the garden that is available to them. Tomatillos sort of do the same thing. By the way, there are a few ways to screw up tomatillos and get absolutely no food. So if you are interested in growing them, you may want to check out a video I made on just sort of the common tomatillo mistakes that you're going to look to avoid. Another partial shade winner for me is the classic pole bean. Now, if you're not familiar with the bean
love a pole bean.
Pole beans are basically the tall, fast-growing, indeterminate types of beans that will produce and grow throughout the entire season. And like the tomatillo, their upright, indeterminate growth habit really kind of give them an advantage because they can do a good job in accessing those sunnier spots and putting the leaves.
More pixels means
places.
Better video. It's true.
I did make a quick video on
You're
how
right.
to grow pole beans in containers, which can be a really nice way to try out a few different shady locations and see which one works the best.
I do like this shot though. I do actually like you know, nice crisp image.
I think
it's good to look at. It's nice for me to look at.
Okay, remember how I said earlier on in the video that carrots were one of 2 plants that put on any size during our winter period, during our real shady period in this container garden? Well, the other plant was this mint right here. And if you're looking
you haven't eaten
at this
beans
going,
until you've eaten homegrown beans,
like
I'm
it's
down.
Completely dormant still. Well, you would be right about the primary growing shoot, the main plant here. You see all these growths?
Used to grow them inside when you were a kid. Ooh.
Those are basically all runners. They're all rising.
I might try growing tomatoes inside. I've been thinking about growing potatoes inside. So potatoes, tomatoes, and like basil plants as well. Like basil, I've recently watched a video on how to make your basil plant grow fucking massive, even though it's inside. So I might do that.
All came in.
Mint, yeah, mint's
over
nice.
Late
Yeah,
winter,
mint's a good herb.
Early spring, when there was no sun, and they've actually been putting on a lot of size, even though they're only getting right now. And I actually timed this earlier today. About.
Are you joking? Are you joking? This guy exported this video. Okay, what you're seeing here, chat, is a Premiere Pro image spec, whatever you call it. It's basically the reason this bar is across the fucking screen here is because he's put this in Premiere Pro and he's tried to stabilize this shot, but he's not clicked analyze and he's not stabilized the shot. So now there's this shot that has click analyze to begin on it in the rendered video. That is insane, dude. Why did you not do that?
A lot of size.
This video is 12 minutes. This video is 12 minutes long. How did you not do that?
Now, and I actually timed this earlier today, about 2 hours of direct sun and maybe an extra hour of
You didn't even need to stabilize the shot. It's fine. You didn't even need to do it. It's a fine shot. I don't understand. Why have you done that? How have you done that, dude?
Blueberries actually prefer lower levels of nutrients in their soil.
Blueberries?
And that is because they evolved to thrive in relatively infertile, inhospitable
Dude, that was
conditions.
nuts.
And
That was
similarly,
fucking
they're
nuts.
able to actually put out even a pretty good harvest in lower sun conditions if you are able to give them 5 or 6 hours.
Me when I handed a paper before proofreading.
Blueberry variety that is chosen for your area is probably
Yeah.
going to give you a good harvest. You're not going to get as many berries. They're probably not going to be quite as sweet. They'll have a lower sugar content, but I think you're going to be happy with them, especially if you
Again! It's happened again! What's wrong?
haven't been able
Why have you
to
done this, dude?
other
You don't even need to do this shot!
These right here are cuttings of 2 varieties that
Bro, twice in the same video is just not good. That's just not good, man.
Well, in our very hot but relatively shady.
We didn't have a garden, but we had green beans, basil, and cherry tomatoes all growing in the kitchen by the window. Ooh.
locations. We've got Jubilee and we've got Biloxi. Both of those are southern high bush. And really
Consistency is king. That's
That's
true. You've got to give him that. I agree.
That's another nice thing about blueberries. They're very easy to grow from propagated cuttings. So if you find a variety that really works for you in your partial shade location, go ahead, clone it a number of times and fill out that whole area. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Probably nobody is going to claim that blueberries are an easy plant to grow. They're not unfussy, they're not low maintenance. They really require very, very acidic soil. They really prefer low nutrient conditions. They really prefer very good drainage in their soil. But if you can get those aspects of their care just right, then I think they're a terrific option if you're looking to maybe fill up some of that shady garden location with a perennial edible berry bush. All right, do you see these little guys right here? This is lemon balm.
What happened? What? Why? 3 times? Sorry. Something happened on my phone. 3?
But relatively shady locations. We've got Jubilee and we've got Biloxi. Both of those are southern high bush, and really southern high bush is about all we can grow in our very, very hot climate. That's another nice thing about blueberries. They're very easy to grow from propagated
3!
cuttings. So if you find a variety that really works for you in your partial shade location,
4 shots, not analyzed.
Wait,
what?
Fill out
wait. Something's happening. Something's happening on that shot. Something's happening right there.
Times and fill out that whole.
That has been stabilized. So hang on a minute. I'm so confused. So he's stabilized the shots, but then for some reason the banner is still there. Like the placeholder banner for before when it's analyzed. So maybe he was going to do it again. Why would you try and stabilize a shot twice? It doesn't make any sense.
Area. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Probably nobody is going to claim.
It also looks like somehow what's happened is he's rendered that shot with the banner on it. He must have made a massive mistake in editing somehow, because he's like rendered the shot with the analyzed banner on it and then stabilized it. He's had a Mare and Rage uploaded. That must be what it is, yeah. But do you know what? I could kind of see this guy as being just like a sort of Tim and Eric character. Do you know what I mean? Who's there like, I'm not very good at editing, so, I'll just put it up there anyway. Like, oh, God. He's just like, oh, whatever, it's fine. No one's going to notice. Let's see if he talks about it in the comments. Has he talked about it? He doesn't even talk about it. He doesn't even mention it. No one's talking about it in the comments either. I'm losing it. Is this just... I don't get it. I don't understand. Everyone's just being like, I love your enthusiasm. No one watched this video. No one fucking watched it. What? Why is no one talking about this? I'm losing my mind. Maybe those bars are in all his videos.
That blueberries are an easy plant to grow. They're not unfussy, they're not low maintenance. They really require very, very acidic soil. They really prefer low nutrient conditions. They really prefer very good drainage in their soil. But if you can
sponsored by the Analyze Bar from Premiere Pro
just right, then I think they're a terrific option if you're looking to maybe fill up some of that shady garden location.
Gardeners are well known for accepting what they get
with a perennial edible berry bush.
It is what it is.
You see these little guys right here. This is lemon balm, and they are actually.
Why is this not even in the freaking center of the screen? What's happened? What is this? This is so confusing. It looks like he's like screen recorded the Premiere Pro preview footage, and then used that as footage, and then resized it because for some reason it's like over to the left and the bar is like further up. He's like He's changed the... Oh my
relative
God.
of that peppermint we just looked at. They're in that same family, the mint family. But don't worry, they are their
He's
own
just acting
tree
like this
and
shot
their
is
own
fine. He's
right
not even
because they taste
talking
different
about
than mint,
it.
they look
He's
different
not even
than mint,
mentioning
and
it.
they
He's
grow a
not
little
even
bit
said,
different.
sorry about this, guys. Got a little editing mistake here in this video. I'm sure you'll get used to it. Do you know what I mean? Just like something like that would be fine. But he's gaslighting us. He's not even like, he's just like, no, you've just imagined it.
Than mint. And
I bet he deletes comments that point it out. I bet he's done that.
In my experience, they're even a little bit more shade tolerant. This is a
What's going on?
plant that acts really like a ground cover. So if you've got a few containers that you want to pop into a down
I don't like this guy.
or if you've got a space that you want completely covered in something like a mint, but that maybe smells a little bit better, maybe even looks a little bit better, I definitely recommend trying a lemon balm. It's a very pretty plant. It grows slowly to start with, but then absolutely takes off, and it just
right. I'm trying to concentrate on the plant now.
It's so
I
wonderful.
forgot what we were on about.
Now, the one caveat here, and the reason that I'm showing you these tiny little seedlings right here, rather than the larger plants that I used to have, so lemon balm is definitely prone to overwatering issues. In fact, I actually killed all of my lemon balm last year by putting it on irrigation and overwatering it, and it all died of a fungal infection, of fungal issues. And the reason is, and one thing that we have to keep in mind for all of our shade-loving plants, is when you have them planted in a shady location,
it's ruined it
you
for
really
me, yeah.
don't need to water it as much.
Fucking spelling mistake, grammar mistake, like capital H here. The reason, right? I think the reason I'm getting so mad about this is because I'm currently editing a very like high concept video for YouTube, right? I'm doing it. Like, I'm actually doing it. And I'm meticulously. My patrons have been so patient. Patient patrons is what I'm going to start calling them, yeah? For my new video, right? They've been so patient. They've been patrons for like 6 fucking months. And, you know, they've seen updates, but like the video's still not out yet. And I am like meticulously going over and over and over this like video, making sure it's perfect. And you know, it's like an hour long and it's taking me ages. And this guy's just farted out a fucking 12-minute video on plants in the shade, which has probably got some very good information about shaded plants in there and how well they do in the shade and which plants are good and all that kind of stuff. But he's got fucking grammatical errors. He's got analytical blue bars that are supposed to be there. It doesn't make any sense how they would still be there, because even if you render it without analyzing the bars in Premiere Pro, it shouldn't actually fucking show up in the final render. It doesn't work like that. That's not how it works. So I have no idea how he's managed it. Such a mistake. And he's not even addressed it. He's not even said, listen, in like the last video that I did, there was a bit that I forgot to cut out. That sort of where I'm like looking at the script and then I go back to talk at the camera, and I mentioned that I talked about it. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's really shit. Like blah 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 blah. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, whatever.
This one is for when basically you've decided to just throw in the towel on edible plants.
Forget about your fucking lemon balm.
Simply not enough sunlight in a given spot to grow anything edible or good amounts of anything edible. In those cases, might I suggest Japanese forest grass? I realize this doesn't look like much right now, but that's because it's dormant in the off season here. When it sprouts, and it actually is already starting to sprout some new blades of grass here, it's actually extremely pretty. If you've never tried growing ornamental grasses, take a look at this. This is Japanese forest grass. It's really, really nice, and it is incredibly good.
Was it not centered? Wait, stop it. Was it not centered? Wait, what are you on about? No, that's centered. That's totally centered. It has to... Wait. Is it? It looks like it is. It looks like it is. What do you mean here? That's kind of not centered. I don't know.
I realize this doesn't.
No, it looks okay. That looks
now,
okay.
But that's because it's dormant in off season here.
Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Pretty. If you've never tried growing ornamental grasses, take a look at this. This is Japanese forest grass. It's really, really nice, and it is incredibly good at growing in the shade, amazingly well suited for a pure shade garden. Sometimes a cool looking grass will just have to suffice, but for all those other borderline spots, I really hope
Pig's trying to break me.
list of my favorite shade tolerant plants helps you
trying to make me point out mistakes that aren't even there.
A little bit extra food this year, and as always, I hope to see you on the next one, and happy.
I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that. That whole experience just kind of soured me out for the whole channel, not gonna lie. You know. Also, the plants that he spoke about were like not that good. I was like, yeah, carrots are good, yeah, you know, like rocket's fine. But like what the fuck he's on about, like it's like grass that you can eat? I don't want to eat grass, man. I want to eat like potatoes, and you know, the tomatoes were pretty good as well. Okay, so he had some pretty good crops that he was talking about. It just ruined it, you know, just ruined it. I'm never gonna watch that guy again. Might watch him again, don't know. I was gassed by the rocket. I was. That's true. I can't deny that. I was very excited about the rocket. I do like rocket. Anyway, I've got another video for you, another short one. This is from a guy called Hugh Richards. I think we watched this guy.
So did you know that?
Yeah, we've seen this guy already. This guy did one about hotbeds. We watched it a couple of weeks ago, like sweaty hot little boxes to grow your plants in and stuff. Hey, Quarterdove, how you doing? So yeah, let's check this guy out. He's talking about weeds in water.
Placing weeds in a bucket of water does something quite incredible. So weeds are full of nutrients. Take this nettle, for example. Not only is it a nutritious free form of food for us humans that I much rather eat over spinach, it is also full of potassium, magnesium, calcium, and other important minerals to add to a compost bin. But as growers, we can enjoy the nutrients of weeds in other ways as well to benefit our gardens. One of those techniques is something called
good to hear, Quarterdove.
So if you follow permaculture,
nettles tastes like wet dog. Yeah, well, KFC smells like wet dog. So are you trying to say that nettles are as good as KFC?
This is where you gather.
And also, what are you doing tasting wet dogs? That's that should have been the first question, really. Like, how do you know what a wet dog tastes like? What are you doing with dogs? That's a little concerning, not gonna lie.
Say,
are you licking dogs?
When you're clearing things out, and instead of putting them on a compost bin, you chop them up, and then you put the nutrients directly back around the ground where it was growing.
Buzzing.
There's another type of chop and drop, and it's called chop
and drop.
This is where you're moving plant material from outside the garden. There might be a patch of nettles or dock, for example. Chopping them up and bringing those nutrients, transporting them into the garden to then mulch and benefit your plants. Not only are you adding nutrients...
Yo, what was that plant? What's that plant he had there? What was that plant?
Not only...
You see that? Look at that. What's that? Is that...
into the garden to then mulch and benefit your plants. Not only...
Is that fucking... What do they call it? Nero-style kale or whatever? The best way to dry a wet dog is by sucking out the moisture from their coats. Do you know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of my partner. I don't know if she's still in the chat, but she was like, she reminded me of a thing where, like, yeah, do you remember when you used to like put a flannel in your mouth when you were a kid and go like... And as soon as I remembered that, I was like, oh, yeah, I used to do that all the time. That's fucking gross. Oh, just like a dirty fucking wet flannel that's been in the bath and you would like put it in your mouth and go like... You know what I mean? That's what that reminded me of. Cavolo Nero. Yeah, I think that's the type of kale it is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, warm flannel water. Love that. Love that.
Are you adding nutrients and also creating a protective covering over the soil? It's going to break down...
That unlocked memories for you.
Which will both help the soil retain moisture during dry weather.
It's a delicacy.
But also, when you have really wet weather, allow the excess water to...
No, Muel, what the fuck? Listen, I'm not the only one.
Traditionally, when we think of nettles or dandelions.
Yeah, I would do that. I would do that with my hair as well. Yeah. I would do that when I had hair, yeah.
You think of them as weeds, but they're not always weeds. The
Not good.
definition of a weed is
You remember the
a
specific
plant
flannel
growing
as well?
places
Yeah,
where
same.
It shouldn't be growing. In this case,
Listen, if you didn't suck on a flannel when you were younger, that's good. That's a good thing. It's good that you didn't do it. But you are also missing out on the mass participation of remembering sucking the wet out of a flannel in the bath when you were a kid. So it swings and roundabouts, really, isn't it?
nettles aren't a weed. They're here in nature, enjoying the space and helping to improve the soil. But in a garden bed, they're not very welcome because I'm trying to grow annual crops. And
yeah, what was that about? What was it? Why was it so attractive to suck on a bit of fabric as a kid? I used to love doing that. Yeah, straps on a sun hat or a fucking a hoodie thing. I used to know people who still did that when they were teenagers. It came in a compact dinosaur shape, expanded out to a regular washcloth when first put in water, and had a dinosaur design on it. Well, there you go. Spilling things on your clothes. That makes more sense, though, doesn't it? Because, if you spill something on your clothes, then it's I don't want to waste whatever that was. If it was, chocolate milkshake, you don't want to fuck around letting that stain on your jeans when you can just suck it out. You know? I used to know people who did that. No, I used to do it as well. I'm not denying it, but I used to know people who did it when they were teenagers as well. They kept doing it when they were older. I can't remember the last time I sucked on a hoodie string or whatever. The reason that I said that is because I immediately remembered a mate who used to do it when we were about 14 or something, and I always used to think don't touch that guy's Pinklon. Thank you so much for the sub. How you doing? Long time no see. I used to remember thinking okay, don't ever touch that guy's hoodie because he sucks on it and all his spit's gonna be all over his hoodie and shit. I remember thinking that about him. Best way to impress a date is sucking out the moisture from their clothes. Yes, I agree. I think that would be very impressive for everybody involved.
You got a few tomato plants that have started sprouting up in one of your beds that shouldn't be there. Technically, they're a weed because they shouldn't be growing there, and you can treat those in the same way whether you put them on the compost bin, for example, or chop and drop. But for the sake
so we're just calling anything weeds now, just whatever, it doesn't matter. Words don't mean anything anymore.
Plants that we traditionally would call weeds, for example, this dock, into our garden to benefit it. And the other use of weeds is understanding the magic that happens when you add them into a bucket of water.
Why has he got CDs on a string like the forest? Why has he got that? CDs on a string in a garden. Oh, they're used to create a irritating movement to the birds. Birds are naturally sensitive to movement. Their first instinct to deal with a threat is to run away. Okay. It deters pests from your garden. Right. That's fair enough. That's smart. Yeah. Fight like a crow!
And this is especially important, say if you're starting to clear your garden and you're pulling out weeds, some more nettles here. But
what CD has he got? What's one of them CDs there? I feel like that blue one is ringing a bell. Is it like an Incubus CD or something? I really want to know. I really want to know who it is. Is it? Hang on, I can just about see it. Oh, I think it might be a DVD. What is that a DVD of? I think it's a DVD of The Conjuring. No, it can't be. It can't be The Conjuring. Should have used Blu-rays. It looks like a washed out DVD of The Conjuring. I don't know.
And you're pulling out weeds, some more nettles here, but these have started
PS1 demo disc.
Seeds.
Yeah.
If I put this onto the compost bin, all I'm going to end up doing when I eventually use that compost is spread nettle seeds all over the garden. I don't want that. So putting them in water allows you to utilize the nutrients of a weed, but in a way where you're not spreading the seeds, and you can apply it in a different form. With weeds, when you soak them in water for a few weeks or a few months, you're extracting.
Oh, this video is in 4K. What's it with these gardeners filming in 4K? They fucking love it.
Nutrients and goodness. You're not going to be spreading their seeds around, but you're also creating a form of nutrients to feed your plants a lot more rapidly in terms of nutrient access than spreading over compost, because in liquid form they can go down to their roots really quickly. There's a couple of approaches.
His hair has had me transfixed. He's got interesting hair, hasn't he?
Which is the magic of.
It's like a combination between Lego hair and like not in it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very. He's got like a very solid brick of hair, and but like at the back there, it's just frayed a little bit in it. Do you know what I mean? The illusion of Lego hair is not there. Proper Playmobil lid.
Weeds in water. The first is to do single type recipes. Very simply, this is
Playmobil lid.
my Doc weed fertilizer, liquid fertilizer.
Never heard of that before.
Done is I've put Doc and water in here. Bit of leaf mold.
Oh my god.
After, but nothing else, and I just let it soak. The reason why you might want to go around just using a single type.
Yo, look at that fucking wet
looking for a
mud.
specific group of nutrients
Love
that you
that
might
shit.
need or your soil might be lacking. Doc's really high in potassium, for example. So this is creating a nice potassium liquid feed that I can use for, say, my tomatoes next year.
That's fucking smart, you know. That's actually extremely smart.
The other way of going around making a liquid weed feed is to actually mix a load of different weeds together by creating more of a balanced or a
talking about cannabis.
So instead of just making something, say, out
you
of
could
metal,
you could probably do this with weed. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder how many like health benefits are to, you know, like some people do. Like in I know like in Jamaica, like they make like tea out of weed stems and shit, I think.
Which has a lot of calcium but also a lot of nitrogen and is great for more kind of leafy growth. If you mix in things like dandelions and thistles, creeping thistle has
I used to have Playmobil as a kid. That was pretty cool. It was never as good as Lego though, because Lego is dead versatile, innit? You can make it into all sorts of shite. But Playmobil, it was just like these things that it was like, yes, this is that. And it's like I never understood why they tried to rip off Lego, because it's nothing like Lego. It's like the opposite of Lego. It's just like some guys, and you can't really change the thing that they're in, like the scene or whatever, you know?
And everything else all mixed together, you're going to really quickly create.
Seal the top to keep out air, leave it in the sun for a week to break down.
You don't really need to know the nooks and crannies of the nutrient quantities of all of these different plants. If you just understand that there's strength and power in diversity, the same thing applies to creating a
weed tea doesn't get you high. It's just supposed to have like nutrient benefits to it. I didn't have the attention span to build Lego, so Playmobil was my jam. Yeah, you see, I would hyper focus on Lego and build like an entire spaceship in a day. No problem. It was Mega Blocks for me as a kid. I think I had Mega Blocks when I was a young kid, and I couldn't have Lego because I would probably choke on it, but yeah.
Liquid feed for your plants. Mix it up.
Isn't it just the heads that get you high? If you eat... Base Junkie, thank you so much for the £5. Base Junkie carrying the rest of the chat right now. Thank you so much for the £5. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. Please, chat. We are so close. We are like £73 or £72 41 away from the dono goal. Very, very close to hitting it. Very, very close for, to me having an extremely comfortable month. That would be very, very ideal. So yeah, please consider donating. Use the sub off Twitch link in the chat. It's right there. It's right there. And if you can't sub off Twitch, don't worry about it. Just retweet the Go Live tweet, and maybe someone with more financial capability than you is able to support the stream. So yeah, consider that. But anyway, yeah. If you eat a bud of weed, right? So the flower that you smoke, right, in cannabis, or whatever you do with it, if you vape it or whatever, anything like that. Our livers will fucking destroy that shit rapidly. That's why when you get high from smoking it, it only lasts for like a couple of hours, right? And when basically what you need to do in order to like stop your liver from like going, oh, this is, I know this molecule, I'm going to destroy it. It's going to go through the liver, etc., etc. What you do is you have to like, this is why when people make edibles, they make it with butter or oil, coconut oil, because that when you extract the THC and or the CBD from the plant, when you boil it with butter, don't boil it, you heat it with butter, you heat it with coconut oil over like a long period of time, then that basically means that you've taken the THC out of the plant, but you still need to decarboxylize it, I think is the right word, which means to activate it, because if it's not active THC, then that means that when you eat it, your liver will just digest it and it's fine. Do you know what I mean? It processes it and it's all good. It won't get you high, kind of thing. But yeah, if you decarboxylize it, I'm not sure if that's even the right word, then that activates it, and that is what gets you high, and that's why edibles will leave you high as shit for fucking hours, right? Hours and hours and hours. So yeah, I tried that when I was at school because I was about to get caught with a bag of weed, so I just ate it, and I was like, well, guess I'm gonna get really high now, and just never fucking happened. Never fucking happened. It was so ridiculous as well, because remember, people used to say to me as well, people used to say like, oh yeah, I put a 10 bag in a pot noodle and I got dead stoned, and I was like, really? And they were like, oh yeah, it's fucking sick, mate, just put a 10 bag in a pot noodle, you get dead high. And I was like, I don't know, that sounds like a waste of weed to me. And then just this one time, like I was basically like, they'd caught all my mates smoking weed, and I had like, I think it was like half a 10 bag on me or something, so it's like fucking not even a gram of weed, and I just yammed it, and I was like, all right, guess I'll be high for the rest of the day, and it just never fucking happened. I was gutted.
Together, and it will really benefit. Just before I show you,
so much shit used to fucking
apply it. If you feel that your garden
people
is
used
a bit
to say about
overrun
weed
with weeds, or you're feeling like
just eat all your drugs in a pinch, yeah.
I wrote a blog post that I put on my blog over at hughesgarden.com.
I would have been so mad. I was pretty mad, you know. £10 a lot of money when you're a teenager, isn't it?
How to maintain
well, it was back then.
Garden. There's a link down below. So
10 bag in a pot noodle feels very northern.
Nutrients from weeds. What you do need is a bucket or any form of similar container, which obviously needs to be leak proof. Then you need to go around and collect your chosen weeds.
Put it in a salad.
You're just going to put in a load of thistles, or you're going to do a nice mix for more of a multi-purpose feed. Fill up the bucket with the weeds, and then you want to actually add the water on top.
I'm learning so much about farming, chat. This is really, really good.
All of the plant material and give it a bit of a stir. Now at this stage, you could also add a handful of leaf mold from under a nice big deciduous tree. This is a Jadam inspired technique. So what you're doing is you're grabbing the biology.
What the fuck is Jadam? This is DJ Muel after one marijuana's. Pick of guy looking all fucked up. Still think marijuanas are okay? It would literally take me way more than one marijuana to be fucked up. We'll need this for when things go south. To be honest, Pinklon, you've not been here for like a long time, innit? But basically, we're not learning this for when things go south. We're learning this for now. Because, you know, we kind of believe here that food empowerment is extremely important. Food sovereignty, reclaiming what Mother Nature offers us for free. You know, not asking for money, not asking for anything in return. Just that we respect Mother Nature. It's something that's extremely important to start thinking about now. and to start doing and organising in your local community.
From under the tree, and you're adding it to the feed, so you're creating a bit of a biological feed as well, but it's also going to help break down and extract the nutrients. Then once you've created it, you want to put on a lid very loosely if the container comes with a lid. If not, just put over a slab or say a few planks of wood and leave it for at least 2 weeks up to kind of 2 months before you start using it. So after 2 weeks, you can start using your liquid feed. There's a couple of ways of going about it. I've strained this one just out of ease to show you. You can see the colour there, for example. Now, what you can do is you can use a sieve so you can keep all of the plant bits away from the actual watering, because what you want to do is you want to water it, and if you're using a watering can, you don't want to block up the
forbidden soup, forbidden tea
material. So if you want to start using your weed feed after 2 weeks, what you want to do is you want to dilute roughly 1 parts feed to 10 parts water.
Like, it looks like broth in it, so it does look like really tasty. 1 part weed feed, 10 parts water. How are you going to figure that out? How are you going to do that, man?
There's a nice dilution rate.
Oh, just fill the glass up with water afterwards. Fucking hell.
We do this because if you put too strong of a plant fertilizer or
tea for your plants, it is. It is.
Actually burn and damage the roots.
Put leaves in water, let it get nice and nutrient based.
Water, so it's nice and gentle on the
and there you go.
And then you water. Now, if you've got something that's a lot older, maybe it's 5 or 6 months old, anything after that, you then reduce the dilution ratio to around 1:50 because it's going to be a lot more potent. Apply this to the plants as
the weed feed is going to be a lot more potent.
See how they respond and adjust as necessary. But it's literally as easy as that to create your own free liquid plant feed using weeds to benefit your plants really quickly, to benefit your crops.
That's dope.
Grow more food.
I love that.
That is the process. If you've got enough buckets, what you can do as you're starting to extract the liquid once it's being made is just as the year continues, continue to top up.
His garden is nice, isn't it? It is.
Rough mix of weeds or the same.
That's the only thing. That's the only problem that I have with these, you know, guys with big gardens, these permaculture guys like who grow their own food in the garden and all that. They've all got massive fucking gardens. No one just has a massive fucking garden in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like this is why I value the Gaskell Garden Project so much, because they just make a garden for everybody to come and use. You know what I mean? And shit like that.
Certain type of weed or plant material and a bit more water. So as you're taking out the liquid, just keep on topping it up with a little bit extra goodness. So that means you're never taking away any of the solids. A lot of that's going to break down into becoming a liquid, but it means you then have that dedicated bucket that is producing that really beneficial plant feed.
Love a dedicated bucket.
Climate, you might want to consider bringing your bucket of weed feed undercover, because if they're going to stay frozen solid for 2 or 3 months, there's not going to be any breakdown, so nothing's really going to be happening. And now's a great time to harvest those nutrients to break down over winter to give you free plant feed to start using spring next year. So my channel is full of videos on
what flavour of British accent is this? Ready salted.
How to save money and make the most of kind of waste materials and resources. But some of you might not know that I have
Why is he smiling like that? Why is he smiling like that? He's got a funny little smile. Okay, it's probably just me that finds that funny. He's just doing like a weird smile. Okay, whatever. Whatever, man.
Written 3 books. My latest book, for example, The Vegetable Grower's Handbook, is full of my...
Bro, that's not writing a book. That's just like a big picture book for adults. That's what that is.
My absolute best tips for gardening. It goes into a lot more detail in terms of creating...
Guys, like, I've written 3 books. Shut up. No, you haven't. Like, people say shit like that, like, oh, it's so impressive, I wrote 3 books. It's like, bro, most of the page is taken up with, like, these massive things. Like, whatever. I'll let him have it, you know what I mean? I'll let him have it, but...
And how to grow basically whatever you want to grow. So, like, one reviewer said, this book is like gold dust. You can check it out yourself over at hughesgarden.com. And there are also signed copies.
One reader who I gave a little bit of money and a free copy of my book said this book is like gold dust.
Copies available.
Yeah, all right, well. Hugh. All right,
also,
Hugh.
The Nature of Food book, written by my colleague Sam, using produce from this garden. The photo of
they have a shared garden. That's quite cute.
There is also available now over at hughesgarden.com. We're about to ship all of the Indiegogo crowdfunding orders, but if you're in the UK, you should also, through the website, be able to get them.
Yeah. Okay, I don't want any of this end of the fucking video promotion nonsense. Whatever. There we go. We learned a little bit about gardening, didn't we? I think we learned more in that video than the guy who we couldn't figure out if he was American or Swedish, didn't we? I think that was good. I enjoyed that. Chat, that's it. It's the end of the stream. Listen, we didn't get to £900 this month. It's okay. I understand. I've not streamed all week. We could have done it if I managed to do another stream this week. I'm kicking myself for taking the day off on Monday. But thank you so much to everybody who's donated so far this month. And thank you so much to everybody who donated tonight. It's been really, really awesome. I really appreciate you looking after me. It is... Oh, my God.
On the finish line.
Just when we thought it wasn't going to happen... Oh my God, Vordrella, thank you so much. Holy fucking shit for the £72. The £72 to make it up to 900. There it fucking is, yo. There it fucking is. Let's get some claps in the chat for Vord. What a legend. Thank you so much for getting us to the £900 Vord. Thank you for supporting me and thank you for subbing off Twitch. Really, really, really appreciate that. That is massive. Goal hit. Topped off. Amazing. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I didn't think we were going to make it. Yeah, you get a dab. You get a dab for that. You get some dabs. You know, I don't know. Is that how you dab? Who fucking cares? Yeah, buzz in. That's so fucking dope. It's coming home. It's coming home, innit? Do you know what I mean? It's literally coming home. And we're going to have a gnome stream next month. So look forward to that. I'll look forward to that in someone making me look like a, extremely dies of cringe. Yeah, all right. I don't know how to do dabs. I'm 33 years old. You know, piss off. Shut up. I don't fucking care. Right? Go. You know what? You're getting timed out. You're getting timed out. Right? Ender pig. Yeah? You thought you were being clever, didn't you? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. You have no idea how far that money's going to go, Vordrella. Thank you so much, everybody who donated this month and who always donates. I really, really appreciate you. Yeah, buzzing. Join me next week when we do Trash Bingus. And it's not just Trash Bingus, chat. Next week, we'll be doing the new and improved Trash Bingus, which basically means there's 25 new squares added to the Bingus square, and it's still going to be randomized. So we have a massive fucking Bingus square. It's going to be really hard to win Bingus. It's going to be a long, extended Bingus stream just because of that reason. I'm very fucking excited. You should be excited. I can't fucking wait. That's right, 25 new squares, new added to the Bingus square. Oh my gosh, what's happening? Oh, I can't believe it. Big Bingus, that's right. That's what it is, Billy's Big Bingus. So, get excited for that. Maybe I'll do a gnome stream on the Bingus day. Who knows when I'm going to be dressed like a gnome next month. You'll have to come every stream to make sure. Anyway, of course, there will be the VOD channel as well. I know I've not uploaded on the VOD channel in a while. I apologize for that for anyone who is a fan of the VOD channel. for some reason. Brain has prevented me from doing so. There's literally been no VOD channels uploads for like a month, and I feel really bad about it. But I'll be getting back on track. As soon as I've done my new video, I'll be uploading all the past streams. But yeah, in the meantime, chat, thank you so much for being so kind to me, as you always are. I really, really, really appreciate everybody in this community. Thank you for allowing me to do a job that I love. I really do enjoy coming on here and talking shit to you all and laughing at funny little English gardeners and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, appreciate all of you. Right, let's find someone to raid. I am gonna go and drop yous off. Excuse me, drop the kids off at the new stream. Let's have a little look. Good gosh, golly gosh. Who? I am gonna drop you all off with Bloodberry Tart. She is streaming Resident Evil 4, which is the 4th Resident Evil game, isn't it? But I think it's been remastered or remade or something like that. So come with me as we raid Bloodberry Tart. She's an amazing streamer. You'll really enjoy your time over there at her stream. So come along and yeah, use the raid commands that are in the chat currently, I think. Yep. Oh, wait. Twitch is kind of like exploding or some shit right now. Oh my god, I can like... Is the raid working for everyone? Here is a... there you go. There's a link, just in case the... it doesn't work. What's going on? My chat is just like not updating. Like I can't even find my fucking... Anyway, listen, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I've literally... Oh, there we go. It's finally updated. Okay, I can actually copy and paste my own raid message there. Chat, listen. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much, everybody, for stopping out to the stream today. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you for all the donos. Thank you for all the subs. Thank you for all the follows. Thank you for being in chat. Thank you for lurking if you're a lurker. And if you've been watching this on the VOD channel, please like, subscribe, and comment. That really helps me out. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Mwah. Stay excellent to each other. Peace, 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 peace.